Howdy, everybody. Hope everybody had a good week so far. I'm having a so-so week so far. Anyway, before we continue, I'm going to say hello to everybody. Be back up here and... Alright, Quasimodo, he got the cookie. Enjoy that cookie, Quasi. Good to see you here. And who else? John Nippenberg, Landmark Yards. You got the half cookie. All right. Good to see you here, John. Tom Grassi, good to see you here as well. Derek Alexander, how you doing? Good to see you here. Hanfield Road layout in the loft. He's not quite here, but he's going to watch the replay. Doesn't burn my eyes. Let's see, Dundas Junction Model Railroad. He's not going to be here either. It's alright, James. We'll see you later, next time. Catch the replay if you can. And who else do we have? Oh, man, my eyes are burning. Chuck Schreiber. Hey, Chuck, how's it going? Good to see you here. Well, I can't believe how much my eyes are burning. I don't know why they're burning either. Let's see who else we got here. Scrolling. Skokoa River Valley. John, happy birthday, man. Good to see you here. And looks like we got Joe Rader, Black Rock Central Railroad. Hey, Joe, good to see you here. Okay, I think that's everybody. And my eyes are still burning. I don't know why the hell they're burning like this. Something must be going on outside. Anyway, we got a little bit of entertainment for everybody. I'm having one of those days. Let's talk about trains a little bit. Now, I have both mains running, technically. However, as you noticed, only one main was operational. Turns out my power supply is getting worse and worse, and it can't handle 3 trains on the track. So because I have the Amtrak P42 up on the elevated, that's always on, even though it's not always running. And the SD60 on the outside main line. I was trying to run the SD40 on the inside main line. Not enough power to drive it. Now if I shut down the outside main line, the inside main line works just fine. But I can't run them both at the same time. It is hot here, Jim. Yeah, it's hot here too. It's, well, not terrible. It's starting to cool off. Well, it's 86 right now. But I think it got up almost close to 90 earlier. Of course, in here it's nice and cool. I got the thermostat set at 72. I'm chilling. Which is a good thing, because if I wasn't, I'd probably be throwing shit. And he said, I'm sitting there fucking around with this thing all day today. Here too, 93 and humid as hell. Yeah, I don't doubt that. Very humid here too. So, I'm going to have to get another power supply. No, I have a single bus line that runs everything. I have several feeders, you know, around the track. So that's not an issue. It's just the power supply is not pushing the voltage or the amperage it needs. Now I'm currently running at 16 volts, which you don't really want to go over that anyway. And it's showing that I've only drawn 1.42 amps. Even though I got it turned up to 5, it simply won't crank out the amperage. It's a cheap Chinese power supply. I got the motor man, Derek, but I don't have it hooked up yet. Maybe next week, I'm not sure. So, I'm going to have to find or buy another power supply. So I got to get at least 5 amps because the voltage isn't near as important as the amperage is. So I'll probably look around on Amazon, see what they got that's affordable. Hopefully something under $100. I can't do it this month either way. I'm out of money. I just bought another camera. And I'm going to talk about, I got a video I'm going to show you regarding the cameras. So I won't talk about that too much till afterwards. But, so this is where I'm at with the trains. I had a polarity problem on the drop-down arm on the inside main. I don't know why. Apparently it's not the same setup as the outside main, so I had to reverse the wires. And once I did that, everything ran smooth as silk. As long as I'm not running both mains at the same time. And you come down to literally a power shortage. Well, shit happens, you know. So that's about all I got done on that. Let me go ahead and show you the video on the cameras. I'll give you a brief description of what's going on there. Where is it here? It should be this one. Hey everybody, Jim Tedesco here for Millennium County Railroad version 3.0. I know you guys been waiting for the 3.0. Well, you finally got it. Anyway, there's a short video of what I've done with the cameras. I'll explain a few things. This one here is permanently mounted now. And this shows the east main line, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and clip this up. And this one here is temporary. And I'll explain why in a minute, but this one shows over the, I guess this would be south, right? I think it's south. Not really sure. Anyway, it shows this area here. Then we go back further. It's a long walk. Roughly 30 foot, actually. We have this camera here, which is also permanently mounted. And I made that bracket on the 3D printer, by the way. And that covers also the eastbound main line from the opposite view. Now here, once again, another homemade bracket, but this camera is not hooked up right now because I'm having issues with it. These are brand new cameras, mind you. Now, the first three that I showed you, well, the first two that I showed you, are the three, or two of the three that I bought earlier to begin with. They're PoE cameras. This camera here, which is supposed to show the west main line, it came with a home security set, DVR and everything. Well, these cameras are so cheap. Of course, I should have known better because the whole system was cheap. It was a DVR with 4 cameras, and this is the other camera here. They simply can't keep up. They either lag or they lock up, or both. There's a pretty big lag on this camera, so I've got it hooked up temporary just to fill the screen, but and of course this one here is the Doodle Cam, which is also permanently mounted, and that shows the Doodle Nude Lake along with the east main line, or west main line, excuse me. from the opposite, well, from that perspective. Now, I also have behind the TV here, here's your PoE switch. And it's an eight port switch. Almost said channel there, which would have been a mistake, of course. And they're ports. So anyway, I got plenty of ports. And the DVR I bought also has 8 ports, but the problem with the DVR is it works with a separate screen, but it doesn't really work well with it doesn't play well with my computer. Because I was going to use that instead of the PoE switch. However, you can see me there in the So, this is a real problem for that. So what I went ahead and did is I went ahead and I ordered another camera identical to the first 3 I bought. It will be here Saturday. Which is what I wanted to do to begin with, but I bought the first 3 cameras. They were $20 each. 19 and change. When I went to buy the 4th one, the same camera jumped up to $45. It was like one of the special one-day sales or something, you know? So, I did wind up buying another one. I only paid $41 for it because I got a $5 instant saving coupon at Amazon. It's still pissing me off. That's why I went and bought the DVR with the 4 cameras. That was $140. Which I felt was a good deal. You get 4 cameras and a DVR. Problem is, the system is so cheap that it can't keep up with continual video. I'm sure it works great as a security camera because you're not running, constant video on it. And it could be set for, motion sensing only. Of course, it's PoE, so you have to run cables. So I'm going to keep it, and I'm probably going to use it somewhere. I may even set up cameras, around the perimeter of the yard here. They come with I think they're like 150-foot cables. They're cheapos. They're I don't know what the cat rating is on it, but I would assume they're probably cat 2. Because the cables I bought for the good cameras are all cat 8. Of course, the better the cable, the better the transmission, through the cable. So that's where we're at with that. But anyway, I wanted to show you the camera setup as it is. Eventually, I want to hook up 6 cameras, but I can only afford to buy 1 this month. Next month, I'll probably get 2 more, even at the $45 price tag, but I assume they'll work. So I don't know what it is with these cheap cameras, but I don't know. Cheap Chinese crap, I guess, all of it is. So anyway, that's where we're at, and I wanted to show you that. And the place is still a big mess. I'm slowly cleaning things up. It's time-consuming. And I've been busy with doctor's appointments and stuff, so, it's tough. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Thanks for watching. Oh, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I gotta stop lowballing shit. Every time I lowball on something on the price, it winds up biting me in the ass. And I just didn't want to spend $45 on the same camera that I just finished paying $20 for. Which was stupid because I think I would have been better off all the ways around. Like I said, I'll keep the 4 camera setup. Maybe I'll set up cameras around the sugar shack or something, because we got chickens and shit here as well, so, the chicken coop on the outside. Me and Deb just finished fencing that in. That's true. You get what you pay for. Old Chinese proverb, and then they make cheap shit. That's true, Derek. As I keep falling for it. I gotta stop doing that, you know. I usually try and buy middle of the road stuff, but money's been tight, you know. You want to get what you pay for, maybe. That's true. So anyway, I went ahead and I ordered the camera. And it'll be here Saturday. So I'm debating where I want to put it, but probably going to go back there on the west to just look at the west main line. And then next month I'll buy 2 more for a total of 6 cams. Tom says, Jim, that's why I went with the SB3C cameras. They cost more, but they do work great. See? Hey, King Fox Junction, Mark II, how you doing? Good to see you here. So, it is what it is, you know. So, just, I hate throwing money away, though, you know, but, and I could probably return it, but I figured, I'll utilize it. I already have a security system, 8-channel security system in the main house, and it's not PoE, it's Wi-Fi, and it has its issues too. So, like I said, every now and then the Wi-Fi drops off. It's like the unit gets hot, and I got to reset it, and then the cameras come right back on. It's weird, but I don't have the ability to string PoE cables, Ethernet cables, all over the house. That's the problem, you know. And I think you can only go 333 feet on it, something like that. 330 feet. So, like I said, these cameras, and you can tell they're cheap because they're plastic. You know, the first ones I bought, they're metal. They're heavy. They work great. They got full color night vision. These other ones, no, they're not so great. I'm good, not on live much. It's a bit late for me. All right, I hear you. So, anyway, that's where I'm at with the whole camera deal. Hey, Raymond, how you doing? That's good to see you. Anyway, the 3 that I got are working good. But if I hook up the 4th one, because I had it working earlier, after about 5 minutes it must get hot or something, and it starts skipping and locking up, freezing, and then it affects the other 3 cameras as well. So it's like slowing down the whole system. So I just said I'm going to leave it off for now, and I'll just wait till I get the good one. So next week's show, we'll have 4 nice cameras. It should be working perfectly. But I'm still going to be stuck with one main line, I think. Unless I've got a couple of power supplies laying around, so I'm going to see what I got. And if I got something that'll push through 5 amps, I'll go ahead and utilize it at least temporarily until I can afford a nice one. I get my place in Elkins. I'm going to try sweet talking Tom Grassi into stopping by for a visit. There you go. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to oblige. So, like I said, I'm all pissed off. And you can't tell by looking at me, obviously, but still, it just grinds my gears a little bit when shit don't work right. And, because like I said, I've been working on this all day today, and actually some worked a little bit yesterday, too. Trying to do some cleanup. Get everything working, you know, and it's just tough to do, man. Like I said, I had 2 doctor's appointments earlier in the week. Fucking things are a pain in the ass. I got another new doctor wants me to call, make an appointment. I may hold off until next month. I don't know. I'm sick of seeing doctors. So, I'm not sure what we're talking about, but what are your thoughts on Outlook in terms of email? Well, I use Outlook or Hotmail. It seems to work all right for me. Hey, Quasi, there you are. Good to see you here. So, I mean, I've got, email is email. I have a Gmail account. I have a Yahoo account. They're like backups, but mostly I use a Hotmail, or actually Outlook is what it is. That was the cookie. That's right, Quasi got the whole cookie. Oh yeah, I did start framing the doorway. I should have videotaped that. I don't know why I didn't. I still got to put. I've got the sides done. The top I have to trim the up there to push the board in a little bit more. And I've got to get the trim pieces to go around the door. I'm probably only going to do this side outside. In there, I don't give a shit. I might do it, I might not. Depends. Like I said, I'm out of money this month, so everything's got to wait till next month. But, it's coming along. I also got another cool thing. Now, to my knowledge, I think Tom is the only one that's got a Bamboo Labs A1. I don't know if anybody else in here has got one or not. But I created a little rack to store maintenance products on it. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that video right now. It's not very long. There we go. This is for you guys that own an A1 or an A1 Mini by Bamboo Labs. I designed this. If you use a maintenance kit similar to what I use, this is what I built. This holds the brushes, the grease and the oil, and the tacky stuff for the build plate. I designed this. If you want the STL file, let me know. I'll hand it right over to you. And then you can print this yourself, and it's set up for everything you see right here. Thanks for watching. Well, that's that. Oh, by the way, John, hope your mom gets better, and prayers for her. Hey, Dwight, how's it going? Good to see you here. See, I hope I'm in the basement. There's a tornado on the ground heading right at me. Well, prayers for you too, Dwight. Be safe, man. Be careful. Get in that cellar. Damn, it's always something. So anyway, anybody wants the STL file for that, send me an email, and I'll send you the STL file for free, and you can print it up. And because I got the basic maintenance kit that Tom Grassi recommended. It's got the grease, the oil, the adhesive for the build plate, and all the different brushes, and the I forgot what it's called. The brushes and so it's all set up for everything. If you bought those kits for your maintenance, it'll fit right in there. So next thing I think I'm gonna make is a rack for the special Q-tips. You just need like a bucket that I can hang on the wall to stick them in there. I bought like 500 of them. Probably won't keep them while in there because you only use 2 or 3 of them when you're cleaning the machine. I just did a maintenance on it last week, so it's all ready to rock and roll again. There, says, I hope we don't see Dwight's trains flying around. I hope not either. Man, that's some scary shit. Tornadoes. The weather's been really strange in this country, and I don't know. Some people think it might be man-made. I don't know. I'm beginning to wonder, Between all the rocket launches and these data centers, which produce tremendous amounts of heat, I think those are the 2 biggest problems with the weather changes. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I don't know. I did see that. That was pretty cool. I don't know how these guys stay in business. I don't know how many billions of dollars got blown up with that, you know. Why bother? John says, thankfully I'm out of tornado range. That's cool. Hey, Georgia Sunbelt, Anthony. Good to see you here, man. So, congratulations on your last day of work, man. That's too cool. The retirement awaits now, man. You're gonna enjoy retirement. It's only because you got trains to play with. Otherwise, retirement would suck. But trains make retirement, tolerable. Messy Modeler, how you doing, Messy? Good to see you. Johnson, SpaceX is going public tomorrow, buying it. No, I don't trust any of that shit. I mean, it probably should, but I'm not going to. Crooked River in Easton. Crooked Dave, how you doing? Good to see you here. Amazon better not raise the price of Prime again. They already raised it twice. Twice since I've had it. I'm paying $15.99 for it now per month. Goes up any higher, I'll drop it. You know, they're just getting greedy. Well, it's torn up, no trains. Yeah, I know. You got to wait till you move and get started, get situated, and start rebuilding. It's going to be really cool. $100 million. And that's the rocket they're going to use to go to the moon. How confident? They're not going to the moon. We can't go there. We've never been there. Even though they keep claiming we did in '69. It's all a lie. I'm telling you, they're not going anywhere. You can't leave low Earth orbit. The radiation will kill you. Or the dome will stop you, one or the other. So, but it's got to be screwing up the atmosphere. I mean, they're complaining about cow farts and emissions from your car exhaust. And fucking rockets, man. Look what that dumps out in a few minutes. I don't buy that shit that it's environmentally safe. Sure it is. When they say blast off, they really mean it. Even if they fake it, they still have to launch something. Well, that's true. I mean, the only way I would ever believe that, and even that's doubtful now because of AI, is start to finish. Keep the cameras running the whole time. Never shut them off. Have them outside the craft, inside the craft. Get multiple views all the same time. And I want to see that from start to finish. You never see it because that's why they're faking it. And even that so-called moonshot that they just did. Look. They were halfway to the moon. And the moon was still tiny. Smaller than if you actually seen it from Earth. How does that work? Then when they finally get near the moon, they look back at Earth, it's super tiny. Except it wouldn't be. It should be bigger than the moon because, the Earth is, 24,000 miles in diameter, where the moon's only 7,000 or 5,000, I don't remember which. You're looking basketball compared to a tennis ball. Maybe they'll put Greta on a rocket till you get Uranus. She's got her head in Uranus, I know that. In her own anus, actually. Those people that think we went to the moon are the same ones that believe the Earth is round instead of flat. Absolutely. Trying to pack boxes and listen won't see a lot of chat. That's okay. You're still here. Dark side of the moon, they lose contact, so I guess you will never believe it. But, you know where they screwed themselves up, Derek? When they went around to the dark side of the moon, what did they say on TV? The first time astronauts have seen the back side of the moon. Wasn't there an orbiter in '69 that, went around the moon waiting for the guys to come back after they landed there? So they had to see the backside of the moon. But according to these idiots, the first time they ever seen it. They didn't know what to expect. They're lying. They can't even keep their lies right. All right, John, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. They use that rocket, the only thing about Uranus will be to kiss your ass goodbye. That could be. I wouldn't get in that fucking thing, man. You know. Between him and Musk, I like Musk, but how many of his rockets have blown up already? You know. You keep blowing these things up, aren't you losing money on that shit? You know. And if they can land them, why aren't they? You know. Was it Musk has got the Starship? The last 3 liftoffs, they all blew up. Yeah, after they got off the pad, of course, but you know. I wondered about their farthest from Earth claim. Yeah, that's possible too. Like I said, it's all lies. You know. Listen, they lie to us about everything. There you go. The world's going to end if we don't stop cows from farting. Well, let's build, you know, a couple of thousand data centers, which create so much heat, utilize the water that we're running short of, and power generation that we really can't afford to keep up with. But that's okay. That's not going to hurt the environment. Sure. You know. And what about these wars? Now, I mean, we're all anti-war to some degree, even though I realize it's kind of important that we do go to war with Iran. But you can't tell me that ain't polluting the earth. We're dropping ships and planes in the water, you know, with diesel fuel, aviation fuel, oil, God knows what else. Not a word. Oh, it's fine. The ocean will clean itself up. The cow farts are going to destroy the world. Sure they will. Sorry, guys. I just not buying into it, man. It's just bullshit. So anyway, I did some 3D printing today, and I printed this. Does anybody know what it is? Looks like half a paperclip, don't it? But it's actually a paper towel dispenser or holder. They have to house your live streams and our videos. You know, that's true. He certainly went to the dark side of the moon in '69. That's how we got Pink Floyd. Yeah, I like Pink Floyd, but they've never been to the moon either. So, anyway, this is a paper towel holder. There's 2 holes in the top where it screws up under a shelf or on the wall or on the ceiling. I'll probably screw it to the ceiling. I'm going to put it in the other room over the sink. Had to print it in 2 pieces because it's too big for the build plate. But it's pretty slick. And I'll hang that tomorrow when I get a chance. Also, a misguided horseshoe. Right. Could be. Or half a paperclip is what I was thinking. I was just listening to Have a Cigar Cool. Like a little bit of Floyd to get you in the right mood to watch a train show, right? Or train stream. So what else did I do? Oh, I bought another drill. This is my old one. Still works great. It's 5 years old. You can tell by looking at it. Been through hell and back. Still works though. So Tractor Supply had them on sale for $99. So I bought another one because it's good to have 2 drills. This one's still tight too, so. Now they're not hammer drills, but you're not going to find a hammer drill for, you know, 99 bucks. I think I paid $129 for the first one. I got that at Home Depot. When I was building that shed out there, I was cussing the whole time because I had to keep changing between drill bit and screw bit. If you have 2 drills, you have one with a screw bit, one with a drill bit. Zip, 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 and you're done, you know. You got to change them fuckers all the time. It's a pain in the balls. So I finally said, screw it. They were on sale. I bought one. Yeah, I like the Milwaukee's. It's a good drill. Like I said, I put the first one through hell. And it just keeps going. Well, this is the Milwaukee, isn't it? This is a DeWalt, sorry. DeWalt's good. Milwaukee's good too, but I can't. You don't usually see them on sale. They're kind of pricey. I don't blame you, Jim, for getting two. Exactly, man. One for each hand, right? I've always had two drills. Yeah, I have a DeWalt 18 volter. The guy that sold it to me, I'm pretty sure he stole it somewhere. I gave him $15 for it. It was a drill, a battery, and a charger. It was practically new. That was like a $200 drill, you know. So I bought it. I bought it like 10 years ago. Well, I bought the one battery pretty quick. So I bought two new ones. They're shot now. And plus the thing is, it's twice the size of that. It's heavy. You know, these are nice because they're small and light. So rather than buying new batteries for the 18 volter, I just bought another drill. Now I did get this, and this was a deal. This is an 8 amp hour battery. It's a no name. It's not DeWalt, but it fits DeWalt. Or yeah, DeWalt. See if we got the right color. I got this from China. I paid $12 for it. It has a little gauge on it that, no, you can't see it here, but there you can. Tells you how much of a charge is left in it. And this thing will go for a long time. I'm going to get a few more of these when I get a chance. They're $12. Got it from Temu. And at first I was doubtful because, you know, not really trust cheap Chinese shit, but I figured what the fuck, right? So I went and bought one. I have a drill and impact drive. Well, like I said, my 18 volter is a hammer drill, so it's good for that, but it'll, with the batteries that I got left, it'll only hold about a 5-minute charge. But when you're drilling in the concrete, a hammer drill really comes in handy. I've seen the impact drivers. Those are pretty cool too. Now I bought a separate electric impact driver that you plug in. It's a half inch drive on it, and it really come in handy for taking off bug nuts and shit, you know, on the car. Because I just don't have the strength anymore to, you know, muscle shit around. I mean, I put them on with, you know, torque wrench. So I've got them all torqued to, was it 72 or 75 foot-pounds? I don't remember which. You know, because I bought expensive wheels and I figured, you know, better go by the book on it and get it right. But taking them off, you could use the impact on it. And the impact's great for changing the blades on my riding mower, too. I tip it up on its side, get the impact driver, zip, 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 pop some blade nuts right off. Otherwise, you probably have a hell of a time getting them off. Which, by the way, I got to buy new blades for my mower, too. They're about shot. I'm on my, let's see, that'll be the 4th set I put on them. I sharpen them, you know, until there's nothing left to sharpen. But the weeds out here and shit just tears the hell out of the blades. So, anyway. And I got like 3 chargers now, too. I don't remember where I got the second charger. I think the second charger came with this battery. Maybe, I don't remember. But I got a new charger with the new drill, and I have 2 already in there. So, I could probably just wrap this one up, put it away for in case I ever need it, you know, when the other one burns out or something. What else have I got going on here? That's about it, really. I'll tell you what really is cheap, and that's double-sided tape. Nope. Hold on. Hey, Tom, no sound. Ah, it's back on now. You hear me all right? Fucking thing. It's always something. Do I have sound? Cheap double-sided tape let go. Yeah, it did. Hey, Tom, how's it going? Good to see you. We got sound? All right, cool. I also control my mouse, too, so... Got my mouse, my microphone, and... something else on. I don't know what the something else is. But... anyway, that's why I wanted it glued up there. I moved it and disconnected the main line going in. Fucking bullshit, man. The time that you get your computer straightened out, I hope. We all have our problems, so I've had mine today. I was telling everybody earlier that the power supply from my Digitrax is going out, and I'm not producing enough amperage to power 3 trains. So I get my track problem straightened out and put an engine, a loco on the inside main line along with the outside main line that I've been running, and it just dies out. I know, it's all bullshit. So, and then the camera issues, like I said, cheap cameras, had to order another new camera, just like the first 3 I bought, and Amazon really bet me over on that one. Yeah, the first cameras were $19.98 each. All metal construction, full color night vision, nice cams. They work great. I went to buy the 4th one. Now they're $45. The same camera. So it was like a one-day special deal or something. It's like, what the fuck, you know? I didn't really want to buy one. That's why I bought the security kit with 4 cameras and a DVR, but the cameras are so cheap on the DVR that they can't handle constant running, you know, constant movement. So they lock up, freeze, and fuck up all the ways around. So I said, screw it, and went ahead and just bought an identical camera to the first 3. Be here Saturday. Should be good to go on cameras this month. Next month I'll buy 2 more, because I want a total of 6 cameras. And for different views, I want to try and make this to cover as much of the layout as possible. Plus, I'd like to have one. Well, I got the one already up on the upper right when you were looking at it. Also covers the overhead rail. So I'll probably want to have one on the other side for the overhead rail, so you can catch both sides of the overhead rail when it's going back and forth. Yeah, once I get the motorman set up. Tom says, got the computer running good, uninstalled NVIDIA drivers. A bad registry entries through an app and reinstalled. Took back the AMD card to Best Buy, which crashed my computer even more. Holy shit. So, the original card is fine then? Just the drivers were bad? Huh. Well, you lucked out, actually. I wonder why the new card wouldn't work. That's fucked up. I'm not surprised, though. Like I said, as Derek said, it's all bullshit. That's $500 you save anyway, or nearly $500. You're lucky they even took the card back, because a lot of times those are non-returnable. Unless they're DOA, you know, which is... that happens, too. I don't know. It's all craziness, man. It's just shit to drive you nuts. I'll tell you what, if they don't get the situation straightened out in Iran, They're already talking about World War III now. Damn it. Not India. India's getting involved in the war. Why in the hell they're getting involved in it, I have no idea. That's how it starts, though, you know. Everybody jumps in, got an axe to grind. Next thing you know, you're in World War III. It's crazy, crazy shit. The original card was fine. AMD doesn't work well with streaming software. I did not know that. See now, I've got a no-name card in this one. It's only 8 gig, not 16 like yours. I got a good price on it, Chinese, you know. But it has AMD software in it. Knock wood, I have not had any problems with it. It's been working fairly well for me. And I get updates all the time, so I do the updates on them. Of course, that might just be with your streaming software. As I said, I'm using OBS where you're using something different. I have no idea. So I said, everything nowadays is so picky. You know, everything should work seamlessly with everything else, but it doesn't. And technology is great when it works. Sure it is. First, I think technology sucks. I mean, I like some of the technology, but the reality is it may be more bullshit than it's worth. You know, depends how you look at it, I guess. But it is what it is. Hey, Russ, rockin' no trains and stuff. How's it going, Russ? Good to see you here. I know you got 2 videos out there. I haven't seen them yet. I'm going to watch them, though. You'll know when I do, because I always leave comments. But I did see them up on my feed. I just haven't had a chance to check them out yet. Hi, Russ. We need standards like, yeah, that's true. And that's part of the problem. There is no standards. Then the technology keeps changing anyway. It said the new computers are running a DDR5 in them for RAM. I'm still on DDR4. You know, and I could update, you know, I'd have to change motherboard, but the DDR5 is outrageously priced. It's like way more expensive than the 4 was. And the 4's gone up too. And you know, I've got 32 gig of RAM in there. So to get 32 and DDR5 would probably, well, I'd probably break the bank. Break the bank. So, you know. But like I said, they keep changing. You know, I started out with DDR2. Before that, I was using the small ones. I don't remember even what they're called now, but old RAM chips. They were like 1 megabyte. I thought that was, you know, cat's ass, but it really wasn't. So they got to quit changing all this shit. Now, the only good thing is, I don't think they've done it yet. They were supposed to do it 5 years ago. They were supposed to change over to a light-based computer that somehow or another use light instead of electrical circuit boards. I don't know how it works, but they said it would completely obsolete all computers. Tom says, I have a really old Radeon card that did not work with my editing software. And well, that's what I'm using, RX 480, I think. I think it's a 480. I'm not. It might be more. Might be a 580. I don't remember. I can't keep track of the shit anymore. Well, like I said, I have an NVIDIA card in the main computer because I got a deal on that. It's only, maybe that one's only 4 gig, I think. But for what I use it for, it works just fine. Have any of you guys used any LCC equipment yet? Is there any LCC equipment being manufactured? Alright, first you got to tell me what LCC equipment is. I have no idea. Derek says 8 different cable fittings, 7 different USB types. All different. Well, I know, that's ridiculous too. Now everything's a Type-C, which most of the phones use. I don't have a Type-C port on my computer. Brand new motherboard, but it didn't come with a Type-C port on it. I've got USB 3.0 and 2.0, but no USB-C. Not that I care, because I don't really use C anyway, except for on the one end for my phone. Layout command. Oh, okay. No, I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it. It's supposed to be really cool, but DCC's complicated enough. I'll just stick with that. Even then, I still got issues with that too. Hey, Ken Amos Jr., how you doing? Good to see you here, man. So, you get moved in yet, hopefully? Or close to it? I know it's a major job moving. I don't ever want to do it again. Hopefully the next move I make way down the road will be in the ground, you know. Is this Lionel Russ? No, I think it's just, it's like DCC but more complex, I think. I said I've heard of it briefly, but I never really looked into it. Yeah, they're always doing something different, you know. I think the next big thing in trains, I think, is going to be, you know, dead rail, where the locomotives will be self-powered. I think that's where it's going to go. Ken says, hey, Jim, not moved. Wife is got kitchen left and shop to get done. Okay. Oh, you're getting there, though. That's all that matters. So, it controls the entire layout. Yeah, I figured Tom would know more about that than he does too. He's always on top of that shit. TCS makes it, okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm, you know, I think some of it's cool, some of this high-tech shit, but some of it I just want to, I mean, I'm not old school enough to go DC, but I'll stick with just plain old DCC. And, you know, like I said, the Motorman for me is like a major step toward automation. And I'm going to do two. I'm going to need 2 of them, because at some point I'll lay in the rest of the track for the short line, the sugar short line. I have number 148 steam engine I'll run on occasion. And I'm going to get 2 SD40s. One will be a tunnel motor, probably, or SD45. Can't remember which one's a tunnel motor, but because that's what they got on the track now. And they'll be running the daily, you know, sugar stuff going back and forth. I want to have a motorman run that back and forth. Wig Whack Workshop. Hey, Steven, how's it going, man? Good to see you here. So, you know, so, but I got the first Motorman. Like I said, I got to hook it up yet. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. I just got to figure out how I want to run the wires. Yeah, it's a shame that I can't duck under anything, because I would do away with this drop down and make it solid. But there ain't no way in hell I could get underneath that thing. If I could, I'd never get back up. And that's why I have to flip up. And it's giving me problems too. I had it working really good, but I guess the more you use it, the more wear you put on it, and the less you're going to have a good contact between those pins. So I had to solder some wires on the other side, and that took care of any problems that I probably would have. So I have MTHAIUs for my O scale. Okay, cool. Rest check with Colonel Cotton about. Yeah, Jason probably know. Like I said, there's some of you guys are pretty smart with this shit. I'm not. I'm pretty smart, but you know, I tend to do some old school stuff. So my life's complicated enough. I don't want to make it anymore. So I mean, eventually I'm going to have some signaling on my layout. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. Some of it may be manually operated, or like on the second level in the yard, I want to put door signals up. But I'll have them operated with the turnouts. So when you switch, you know, when you go to the divergent track, for example, the divergent will light green and the main will go red. And when you switch it back to the main, the divergent will go red and the main will go green. That's easy enough to do. I don't require GMR or anything. I could just wire that right into the switches. So that's how I'm going to do those for the most part. I don't know what I'll do for any other signals on the layout. I may go with GMR on it, let that control. Who knows? Depends how bored and how desperate I get. And of course, you know, see, there was a vendor at the rail train show that was selling a board that does the same thing as the Motorman. Well, yeah, but it's for DC though. That's the problem. I bought one of those because on the website it said they were good for both DC and DCC. They lied about that. It was only good for DC. And basically, what it does, it uses diodes and a small board. That once you get contact with the diode or the break in the track, it switches the current and reverses the train, and it does that on both ends. Very simple to do, you know. And yeah, they're very inexpensive. I've still got one in the drawer, but it won't do you any good on DCC. So. Well, see, Russ, I got lucky because Tom Grassi was up at a train show, the big one up there in, where was it, Massachusetts, I think. And he called me up. He says, they got Motormans if you want me to get you one. So, hell yeah, I should go ahead and order, you know, get it and I'll reimburse you for it. So he did. So, and he got, you know, the same price. It was it $125, I think, plus shipping, because he had to ship it down to me. But he said the same thing. And I saw the same thing too. The sites that sell them are always out of stock. But they happen to have them at the train show, so Tom bought me one, which was really cool. And I thank you for that, Tom. But, yeah, that's, like I said, some of the really cool things are hard to get because I think they're in demand, and these companies, they don't want to overproduce anything. It's the same reason why they got pre-orders on, you know, rolling stock and locomotives, because they don't want to produce them, just in case they can't sell them. So you pre-order it, they know it's sold. They don't get your money yet, but they, you know, assume it's sold. So they get, let's say they get 10,000 pre-orders. They'll order 10,000 of them, maybe a few extra for shits and giggles. And then when they come in, the guys that basically pre-ordered, most of them will, you know, pick it up, pay for it. And it's a safer bet for the companies that are selling these things. It's a pain in the ass, you know, because it can take months sometimes. I've done pre-orders before with scale trains. They had gondolas. They had a 6-pack, and I had to pre-order it. and it took almost 5 months to get them. You know, when they finally came in, I'd forgotten about them. They sent me an email. Oh, this is what you got to pay for your. All right, so I had the money, thank God. Paid the money, and they shipped them to me. But after a while, you forget about what you even ordered. I'm not a big fan of pre-orders. I really aren't. So now, I believe you can make a Motorman with Arduino. I'm not sure how. Tom Kavicek might know how. Or be able to find out how to do it. And it probably wouldn't be that expensive either, but Russ says I wanted one for my Z-scale light rail diorama. That'd be cool. Is Z-scale DCC? I wasn't sure if they're DC or DCC. If it's DC, you can use the other deal there. That will work. You just have to modify it for the Z-scale track. Because I don't think they actually make it for Z-scale. Russ says, I hate pre-order. Yeah, we all do, man. Pre-orders suck. Because like I said, it wouldn't be so bad if you could get it in a week or two. But we're talking months, And of course, if you have buyer's remorse before you get it, you're going to cancel the pre-order. As most are DC. All right, so DC, you don't need a Motorman. You could use, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Like I said, you could use that $30 deal. The way it works is pretty, because you'd use the same board, but you would put your diodes on the smaller track because they just give you the diodes and instructions on how you cut the track, one rail, and put the diode across it a certain way. So when it somehow or another triggers the board to reverse the voltage and goes the other way. But that might be a lot cheaper for you rather than buying the Motorman. So the Motorman's cool if you're DCC. The reason I want it, because, I want to go back and forth to each station. Want to have the train sit at the station for, a minute or two. And then, do certain things like blow the horn before it leaves, ring the bell before it clears, until it clears the station. And do all that stuff, on both ends. The Motorman does that. Highly programmable, so it's like cool. But it probably wouldn't do any of that on DC. So like I said, Z-scale. I saw one of those at a train show, man. Like that's fucking thing. Even I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd probably lose it. If I picked it up and dropped it, I'd never find it again. Especially in carpet, right? But they're cool, but that's too small for me, man. Hell, I bitch about N scale. Ain't no way I'm doing Z scale. And that new TT scale, it's even smaller. I mean, shit, before you know it, next set will be microscopic. The whole set will be this big, and you'll need fine tweezers and a microscope to set the train on the track. Probably not, but you never know, Well, some years ago, I read somewhere that the world's smallest electric car you had to see under a microscope. And it was operational, actually ran. It was electric motor. Little tiny car, microscopic. I don't know how the hell they built such a thing. But I thought it's cool, but why would you want one? Russ says, I waited 18 months for one of my O-scale switchers on pre-order, never again. Now I rely on the secondary market. I don't blame you. My eyes work okay with low gauge. I hear that. Trains by Braille, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Hey, my eyesight's not bad, but it's not great either, and it's like, and fat fingers. There's just no way I'm going to mess around with Z-scale or TT scale or any of that shit, man. And they're not cheap either. I was looking at a TT scale set. It was a little oval, like probably like this. A locomotive, 2 rail cars, I think were passenger cars, and a caboose, I think. Like $400 for it. I go, fuck that. You know, that's crazy. Like I said, if I had the real estate and the money, I would have went with O-scale. I like O-scale. But the shit's expensive. You know, where the HO is kind of like the middle of the road. You know, it's between blindness and excellent eyesight. Shuttle, there's this. Oh, there you go. Yeah, check that out. Like I said, there's lots of ways to do it. You could probably even rig it up a reverser switch. You know, like a trigger switch on each end of the rail so that when the train hits it, it automatically reverses the current. I mean, it would take a little bit of electronic, but not much. And that would be one way to shuttle back and forth. I'm not sure how to do it, but I got the idea. But I have to do some research on how to do it. At this rate, I'll be lucky if I can see a real train. Yeah, there you go. Now, if you can't see a real train, you're in big trouble. C-scale 8 is just fine. It's just for me to dink around with. Nothing serious. More of a conversation. Yeah, I hear that. I said they are cool. I think they're cool. I don't want one, but I still think they're kind of cool. They're tiny, but you could still see them somewhat. But I don't think I'd want to change couplers. Oh, they probably use magnetic couplers, don't they? I can't see like a Katy coupler on something like that. It just wouldn't work. I remember years ago I bought my kid, well, I think I probably bought it more for me, but it was supposed to be for my kid, a electric train set, and it was like the high-speed rail, but it had a loop-de-loop on it, and the trains were all magnetic, so they couldn't fall off the track. And they had magnetic couplers on them, too. So once you sit on the track, you couple them together, you hit the trans-DC, of course, and you make them fly, and they'd go over the loop-de-loop and not fall off. It was kind of cool. My kid really liked it. I don't know what the hell ever happened to that set, but the whole thing was based on magnets. I mean, because that wouldn't work, under any other circumstances. He tried to do a loop-de-loop with a unmagnetized train. It would get halfway up and fall off. Which would not be good. It'd be funny to watch them once or twice before they broke. But, So then I'm having issues with my engines, too. And, of course, it could be because of the power issue. My ES44, this one right here, I've got 2 of these. One's a rivet counter, the other one's the basic one, operator. And neither one really want to run well on the track for some reason. I cleaned the wheels on one also, it isn't that. I think it's a power problem. Because they ran fine before, and now they don't really want to. And if I try and consist them, they don't go anywhere. So I've got to get that power supply straightened out. Like I said, I got this. I don't know, is this from China? What's it called? A Gophert? Gophert. Never fucking heard of it. It looks nice. It's 5 amp up to 24 volt. And you can adjust the amperage and the voltage. But it's from China, so you know that they never. Their specs are always wrong, If you buy something from China like a grinder motor or something, it'll say a 1/2 horse motor on there, right? It's not a 1/2 horse, more like a 1/3. Because I don't know if they lie intentionally or they just don't know how to rate them, but you never get what they claim it is. So I figured the same thing probably on the power supplies. They claim it's a 5 amp, 24 volt, but it won't push 5 amp, you know. So it's like, what the fuck? Like I said, it looked like the power supply that came with it. It's a 15.5 volt. Looks like something you plug into your laptop computer. Now, I've got laptop power supplies, but most of them are 18 or 19 volt. But I don't know what the amp rating is on because it doesn't say. So I'm kind of afraid to use it. I don't think it would have enough amps to run it anyway. Because in this case, the amps are more important than the volts. Yeah. So I don't want to blow up my main unit or anything by overpowering it, so I'm just going to have to break down and buy it. Now Digitrex makes a real nice heavy-duty power supply. It was $125 10 years ago. I was going to buy one, even though I didn't need it. I probably should have bought it. I haven't looked to see what they cost now. They're probably $150 or more. Because everything's gone up in price. But I got to get something that's going to push the power, because right now I'm just not getting enough power. More power, more power. Oh, thanks, John. Appreciate that, man. At least I got 2 of them puppies. When I bought them, I paid $240 for the operator and $263 for the rivet counter. And that was actually a good price because they're almost $300 now. Some are even over $300. Yeah, I've run into that too, Joe. You got to be always measuring before you buy them. I don't care what it says. It's like even the figures. I buy the figures. You get like 500 of them for like $10. You got to make sure they're 1/87 scale, because if they're 1/100th scale, they're tall, even though they should be shorter. But I accidentally bought without checking the scale, and the fucking things are like this tall, but they're only supposed to be like this tall. I wound up throwing them out. But that's the thing with Chinese stuff anyway. My mother-in-law, she loves shopping at Temu. And I probably told this story, but I'll tell it again. She bought a 3-piece gardening set. Let's be a rake, a shovel, and a hoe. Small ones, your basic garden tools. Paid like $2 for them, She gets them in the mail. She calls me. She says, "You got to see this." I said, "What?" She says, "I bought some gardening tools." Yeah. She was looking there. They're this fucking big. And she was pissed, I said, "Well, first off, you should have figured for $2 you weren't going to get much, Second of all, you always check the size, because Temu always prints the size of shit, but you got to look for it. Because you can't tell when it will show. If it's not somebody's hand, there's no way you could get a size idea out of it. And half the shit they buy is tiny. Another thing she bought was a vase with a fake rose in it. So she thought it'd be, like 5 or 10 inches tall. She paid like $2 for that. She gets it in. She goes, "You gotta see this." So, the fucking thing was 1 inch tall with the flower. And I says, "Well, why didn't you check the size?" "Well, I just figured it'd be the right." Well, don't figure anything. It's coming from China. They do print the sizes, but you have to look. And if it's that cheap, the first thing you should assume is it's not regular size, So, I buy a lot of shit from Temu too, but I'm careful with what I buy, and I always check the sizes, because I said some of the stuff's really cheap, And you gotta wonder. I don't know. It's funny though. Yeah, they probably are 1/100th. Let's see, 1/100. Yeah, 1/100 would be smaller. So they're probably somewhere in between N scale and HO. I bought lights and signals and everything else because it's cheaper to get them from China than it does, like Amazon or any of the hobby shops. But I always make sure to check the actual dimensions. Now, a lot of stuff I buy from eBay, and eBay does print the dimensions of the product. Always check the dimensions before you buy anything. There it says, what is that, like 18 feet tall? 2.5 inches. Probably, somewhere around there. A lot of those Chinese shoes are probably designed for architectural models, which are usually 1/100th, 1/200th, and 1/400th. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're cheap, and they do work. I bought them. I have some. I haven't gotten around to putting them up yet. I've got, parking lights that you see like in parking lots with the dual. I've got those. I've got some like ornamental lamps you'd put in the front yard of a house. And I got a lot of that shit, but I haven't got around to putting them in yet. I probably will, maybe someday. That's another thing, too. It's a pain in the ass. The wiring on that shit is like 28 gauge. You look at it the wrong way, you'll break the wire. That's how thin it is. And they're just a pain in the ass to hook up, so it's like, I don't really want to fuck with it, I like things with a little bit of meat on them, and, So, yeah, you just got to be real careful what you buy from China because, like I said, they got a lot of good stuff. But you got to weed through the garbage first. Because they got a lot of garbage, too, You guys heard, I'm not real big on name brand things like, Gucci purses and, what's the other one? Prada shoes and purses. Real expensive shit, supposedly from France and Italy. We're talking a Prada pair of shoes are like $1,000, Well, it turns out, according to China, that they're making these shoes, selling them to France and Italy. France and Italy put their actual name on it and sell it for ridiculous money. Well, you could buy actual Prada shoes or a Gucci handbag for like $6 to $10. It's exactly the same as the $1,000 counterpart that you would get from Paris. And they said they're doing that because they want to put, I guess Europe is putting tariffs on a lot of Chinese stuff. So China said, we'll fix you. We'll sell your shit directly to America. It won't have the name tag on it, but it's the same product for like a pittance of what you're selling it for just to get out of paying your fucking tariffs. It's kind of funny, really. Jim, are you trying to tell us something? Well, kind of. I mean, I'm just saying, look, I would rather buy American. The problem with buying American is you could take a $10 product that you can get from China, that's a decent product, and if it were made here, it would be $50. They're the same fucking thing, but one costs way more because, Americans don't work for $2 a day. Can't blame them. Real residential streetlights are usually 20 to 25 foot tall. Sounds about right, Russ. So, it's like I said, if you were to buy, what is it? One of the train companies is made here. Is it Rapido, I think? Maybe, I'm not sure. They're expensive. You paid dearly for that name tag. They're probably, they might be manufactured in China. Who the hell knows? But, you know, Atlas is manufactured in China. And you can get it direct from China cheaper than you could buy it here because, once again, it's not American made. But if it were American made, you'd almost double the price. I think there's a rant ready to peek out. You don't want to get me started on the rants. I could rant about a lot of shit though, man, let me tell you. I get so disgusted with everything these days, you know? All the bullshit and all the lies and all the... just all the bullshit, man, you know? Yeah, talk about, here's a good rant for... let's do the rant thing here. Hold on. Now, come on. I love that thing. Anyway, here's a good rant for you. Did I forget already? What the fuck? I forgot what the hell I was going to rant about. Man, I hate when that happens. Oh, shit. What was it? I forgot. Now it's official. Oh, I don't know. I did. I actually forgot. I'm losing my fucking mind, you know. It was pretty good, too. I can't remember what the hell it was. Hey, when that happens. I really am losing my mind, I think. What the hell was it about? I can't remember, believe it or not. I really can't. That big steam guy, Thomas. Don't even get me started with you. Try ranting without saying shit or fuck. Well, I can't do that. It's the way I talk, man. Just, it is what it is. There's something to rant about. The big steam guy. Now, I was at Morning Brew this morning, you know, in the chat. And Thomas was explaining to me why he keeps changing his name. Yeah, brain fart, right? And only one problem. I think that's a lame excuse. And I'm going to call you out on it, Thomas, just because I can. I don't care. All I'm telling you is that people are going to just, basically, they're going to stop dealing with you. Because, you know, it's weird. You're the only person I know that's changed their name like over, what, 15, 20 times? You got to stop doing that. And they always say to them, well, I'm not changing it after this. And then you do anyway. So you're losing your credibility, man. And if nothing else, credibility is important. Damn it, Jim, don't mean to say. If it comes to me, I'll get in on it again. But I figured I could do this while I'm trying to figure out what the hell I was going to rant about. I thought you were doing it because maybe you were getting popped for putting copyrighted music on a lot of your shorts. If you're not getting popped, that's cool because you're lucky that they're really not messing with you. I said I play a video once and it's a strike, you know, a copyright infringement, which I think is stupid. But I thought maybe that was why you were changing your name constantly, to stay ahead of the game. And if somebody was upset that you were using Spike Man, you tell them to go pound sand. And I'm being polite. Who cares what other people think? It's what you think that counts. So quit doing that. Anyway, what the hell was I going to rant about? I can't remember what the hell it was. It was good, too. And I can't remember what it was. Man, I really hate when that happens. I probably lost it for the rest of the night. night. Now. You know? What did it have to do with? Could have been doctors? No, it wasn't doctors. Maybe it was. Maybe it was just stupid people. Because there's so many of them nowadays, you know. And everything's, like I said, everything's a lie. You know, I turn on the internet news, and the first thing I see on the headlines is, Florida and the West and the East Coast, brace yourself, a hurricane is forming in the Gulf. I go, okay, let me go check. So I turn on the Weather Channel, I go to the radar, I bring up the clouds and radar because that's the only way you could really tell. And I'm going, okay, there's nothing forming. And they're lying, you know. And the worst part is, they know they're lying. But they're like so hyped up about it. Like they're wishing for a hurricane so they can report on the death and destruction, you know, and probably make some extra money somehow. I have no idea. And it drives me nuts. I hate liars. In fact, I don't care who you are, what you're doing. If you lie to me, I probably won't have nothing more to do with you. Because I don't like liars. So, you know, Democrats equal stupid. Yeah, well, yeah, that's another thing too. You want to get political for a minute. You see that shit where in New York, they want to force people that speed too often. You know, if you get more than 16 speeding tickets in a year, they're going to force you to put a speed governing device in your car so you can't go over the speed limit. Of course, you'll have to pay for it because it won't be free. And I'm thinking, what the hell's wrong with this shit, you know? And Washington State wants to do the same thing. And now Washington State also come up with a deal where if you get convicted of 2 DUIs, they strip you of your Second Amendment rights forever. So you can never own a gun. What the hell has owning a gun got to do with driving drunk? As long as you're not shooting while you're driving drunk, I don't see the problem. You know, that crazy shit, man. See, Thomas says, Jim, I have a rant. I bought a Lionel train crossing bank, and someone had the wrong adapter in the box. The crossing bank came in, it was AC. It was supposed to be DC. It fried the motherboard. Well, that sucks. Did you send it back? I would have. No, we haven't heard back from Dwight, and he may not be in Kansas anymore. Hard telling. I hope he's okay. It started smoking. Yeah, well, it'll do that because, you know, you're not supposed to mix AC and DC. Democrats, there you go. So much drama these days. There really is. Thomas says Democrats. Stupid is as stupid does. That's true. Yet they allow murderers back out on the street, Cali and New... I know. It makes no sense. Well, it does, though. And here's another one that you might want to chew on. I could be wrong about this. But, you know, for years they've been trying to take away our guns, make it as difficult as possible to own one or carry one. Now all of a sudden they're doing a complete reversal. The Supreme Court ruled, you know, the Second Amendment's pretty much what it says. You know, Florida's doing away with its 3-day waiting period. I think they're also allowing 18-year-olds to buy guns now. Before, you had to be 21 to buy a gun. And I'm thinking, you know, the government never does anything unless there's something in it for them. Now, we all know, or at least we've heard, that the big plan among the New World Order people is to depopulate the planet. Well, they can't just go around killing people because, you know, we'll start shooting back. But if they gave everybody guns, even people who shouldn't have them, you know, they even want to allow you to have them through the mail again, which I don't have a problem with, by the way, you know. Personally, I think buying a gun is like buying a car. What the fuck, you know. But they want to ease it up. They want everybody to be able to have access to a gun. And you got to ask yourself why. Maybe it's how they're going to do the depopulation. They won't have to kill us. We'll do it ourselves. And people are killing people for the dumbest reasons. You know, not necessarily even with a gun, but there was a guy up in, I think it was in somewhere up north. Maybe it was California. I don't remember. But he got glossed over for a job position. He applied for the higher position, and his coworker got it, a woman. So he got mad and tried to kill her by strangling her. And the only reason she's alive today is because his boss happened to walk in while he was wringing her neck, and he had to let go. He still went to jail for a little while anyway. I think he got 10 years for that, for attempted murder. But what the hell is wrong with people? You didn't get the job, move on. You don't kill your coworker because they got the job instead. You know. And what did he think was going to happen? Well, I killed her, now I'll get the job. No, it doesn't quite work that way. You know? It don't make sense. And Joe says that New York is going to take out... I know. Well, that's bandammy. That's communism. They'll take everything. They'll seize all the properties and everything else, and if you don't like it, well, they'll kill you probably. Why somebody hasn't taken out Mandami yet, I have no idea. You know. In a just society, he'd be dead already. Well, in a just society, he would have never got elected. Thomas is in Canada, you go over the speed limit, you automatically get your vehicle impounded. See, I don't believe in that either. If everybody's speeding, fining people, jailing people, taking their cars is not the solution. Raising the speed limit is, you know. And once again, I look at this from a common sense point of view. I mean, I live here in Sebring and nobody does the speed limit, you know. Speed limit's 55 in town. We're usually doing 70, 80, you know. And I'll do whatever traffic is, because not to do it is dangerous to me and others. And the cops do it too, so I'm not worried about it. But, you know, now if you piss a cop off, he can nail you for speeding because that's a fallback thing, you know. So don't piss the cops off, you'll be fine. But realistically, there should not be speed limits anywhere, except maybe in residential areas. Excuse me. If you can get from point A to... And that includes drunk driving, too. Now, I'm not endorsing drunk driving. But I'm saying that a lot of times people aren't really drunk. You know, they'd fail a sobriety test. You know, a friend of mine had a glass of wine with his spaghetti. He was on his way home. They pulled him over in his driveway. She did a breathalyzer on him. He failed, just barely, and got a DUI and ruined the rest of his life because he lost his CDL over it. That was unnecessary. Made it from point A to point B, didn't cause any accidents, didn't do any property damage, nobody got hurt. Fuck it, who cares? You know. But we all know the real reason for this stuff is, you know, revenue. You know. There was guys that was, you know, well, instead of, you know, taking away their car or their registration, fine them $100,000 for speeding. Yeah, like somebody's going to pay that, you know. Or just take their car. Well, that's your car. Nobody can take what belongs to you. And once that starts happening, there won't be any private ownership anymore. Because it'll progress from there and they'll just take anything it will. Well, we don't like the way you're cleaning your house, so we're going to take it away from you. I'm telling you, we're headed for civil war in this country. Because these politicians, they're all Democrats, or Demorats as Tom likes to call them. They're getting power crazy. I don't know. But meanwhile, like I said, they let the murderers go. Not a problem. Bring in Muslims. See that shit over in, I guess it's England, or is it Paris? One of them countries. Some raghead, and I'll call them what they are, I don't care. some raghead killed a white guy with a ceremonial knife that he's allowed to carry on his person at all times because it's part of his, religious beliefs. But the white guy can't carry a weapon because, no, that would be illegal. So they're rioting over this whole thing, right? It's like bullshit, Why would you let people in your country and give them the right to carry weapons when you forbid your own people from carrying weapons to defend yourself from those people? Doesn't make sense. The government, what they said is all, well, it's true, it is. Illinois wants to serialize animals. Yeah, California tried that too. It's called microstamping, but it's not possible. It simply won't work. The technology that would be needed to do it and the expense just makes it ridiculous. And, I got a better idea. How about if you kill somebody, murder somebody, you lose your life, like within a week. We take you in front of a firing squad or hang you or whatever. Actually, I think the punishment should fit the crime. If you stab somebody to death, well, guess what? We're going to stab you to death next week. You shoot somebody, we're going to shoot you next week. So, if you took care of the problems, that would eliminate some of these. All these teen takeovers, they're skirting around the whole thing. I reload my own too, by the way, Derek. I won't tell you how much ammo I have, but let's just say I have a lot. Teen takeovers. Well, we're going to institute a curfew. So they do. It doesn't work because, the teens don't give a shit. And, there's 500 of them in a park. They're beating each other up. They're destroying stuff, vandalizing things. And we got a governor candidate here. He's a Republican. I won't vote for him for other reasons, but he's got the right idea. He says the next teen takeover, we got 17 volunteers. We're going to get our AR-15s, and we're going to take care of business. We're going to exercise our Second Amendment. I agree with this. And trust me, you take out 25, 30 or more crazy teenagers, I think it's going to send a message out. Well, this ain't a good idea, guys. They're killing us. The only reason they do it because they get away with it. Even if they get arrested, they're cut loose in the morning. They get a little fine for disturbing the peace or something. And life goes on. You're not going to fix the problem that way. And now it's epidemic. It's happening all over the place. So I say, you know what? Deal with the way it needs to be dealt with. You see the crazy... Yeah, that's not... Oh, there's riots over there, too. And that was another raghead trying to behead somebody. And the problem is, the innocent people, they're not allowed to carry arms. So you're at the mercy of these assholes with their scimitars or whatever they use to behead you with. I mean, come on, what the hell are you supposed to do? Carmelo Anthony, he just got convicted. He's the one that stabbed the white kid in the tent at the school. He tried to claim self-defense, and I got such a kick at him. I'm thinking, all right, so let me get this straight. You break into somebody's house, they tell you to leave, and you say, fuck you. So they shove you, and you pull out your knife and kill them, and that's self-defense. On what planet? He only got 35 years. And it's not because he's black. I don't care what color you are. If you commit the crime, you should get the same punishment. They should have hung him. They should have given him the death penalty next week, not 30 years from now. And that would put out a clear message. If they had found him innocent, do you know what would have happened? You'd see a lot more stabbings going on. Because it would be like permission. I'm not got nothing to do with the color. Although color does have something to do with it, but I don't look at it from that perspective. I'm just saying that if you give... Look what they did in California, in L.A. Well, if you shoplift, as long as you shoplift less than $900, we won't convict you. We won't even arrest you. So everybody started stealing. Even people who wouldn't steal figured, hey, I could steal $900 and not get in trouble. So everybody started doing it until the stores, we got to shut down. We can't afford this. And then, the town council's going, we don't understand the problem. What part of giving permission to steal don't you understand? If that had been me, I would have said, hey, if you steal a 1-cent piece of bubble gum, you're getting 10 years in prison. Just because. I don't care what color you are. White, black, yellow, red, don't matter. The same penalty applies to everybody. And I'd probably have to make an example out of a few of them, and that would be fine. And once the word got out, you'd see that shit come to a screeching halt. So, but that's the only way we're going to fix these things. I mean, I was told once a long time ago that people are very simple. They only understand two things. Actually three things. Pleasure, pain, and death. If it feels good, you'll keep doing it. If it hurts, you'll stop. And if it kills you, well, you don't have much of a choice. So, all punishment should be based on those three things. If you do something wrong or something illegal, it should hurt. If it's serious, it should cost you your life. Instead, if you take a life, you forfeit your own. It's that simple. Now, the bad news for that Anthony guy, Carmelo, whatever his name is, somebody's probably going to take him out in prison. Bad news for him, good news for the rest of us. You took a man's life for no good reason, I think you should die. I got no sympathy for anybody that murders somebody out of cold blood, And the worst part is he'll die the same way that he killed that white guy. Because in prison they'll shank you, which is a homemade knife, And then they bitched when the stores wanted to close. The groups tried to tell them they couldn't close. Oh, I know that was funny too, Derek. Oh, you can't close. Where are we going to get our food from? You mean where are you going to steal your food from? I guess you'll have to find another store to steal from, won't you? And you can't. And if these people are that stupid, they couldn't figure that out. Nobody's going to keep their doors open if they're losing more money through theft than they are through legitimate sales. You can't afford to stay in business that way. So what the hell did they think would happen? I'm saying, there's a lot of stupidity in this country. And it's not limited to any one race. Because stupid is everywhere, and every race is guilty of it. Yeah. I saw something the other... Oh, yeah. What the hell was it? It was something ridiculous. I know that the Navy or the Air Force, it just recently happened, I guess. One of their big choppers crashed. Not the one that got shot down, but another one. He was trying to land on a ship, misjudged, his wheel got tangled up in the safety netting, and it went down in the ocean. Unfortunately, a few people died. All right, Joe, no problem, man. We'll see you later. Thanks for popping in. And nobody asked the question that should be asked. Who the hell are they letting pilot these things? Are they DEI hires? They gotta be. You know. Whatever happened to putting qualified people behind the yoke of a plane or the control handle of a chopper or anything else for that matter? Ford just did another big recall. Supposedly they have defective center consoles. They didn't go into detail on what was defective about a center console, but I don't know what the hell, maybe it fell off or something. How does Ford stay in business? They've had 67 recalls this year alone. They should be bankrupt by now. You know, I mean, I like Fords. I own one. Well, a Mercury anyway. They don't make them anymore. But it was a decent car, you know. I wouldn't want a new car if you gave me one for free, because they're junk. And they're also spyware on wheels, which I also have a problem with. Quasi says one Walgreens store lost $1 million per year and closed. No wonder they complained and wanted to stay open. Yeah, I'll bet. So, you know, like I said, yeah, if you guys have ever heard of or seen the movie Idiocracy, I've talked about it before. I watched it many years ago. I'm going to watch it again soon because, you know, we're living in it. And it's not quite as bad as the movie, but we're close, you know. They're idiots running everything. And nobody seems to question it, you know. And it's everywhere. Yeah. I just went and seen the dermatologist to have some skin tags removed. So they call me, you know, they send me a text like a week before to, you know, what's the word for it? Can't think of the right word now, but, to, you know, that I'm going to show up, right, to confirm my my appointment. Just press 1 if you're going to confirm it. 2 if you want to, you know, change the date. We'll call you back. Press 1. It's confirmed. All right, thank you for confirming. 2 days later, I get an email. We need you to confirm your appointment. I deleted it. I already confirmed it. How many times do I got to confirm it, right? And 2 days before, I get a phone call. I didn't answer it. They wanted me to confirm my appointment. I mean, seriously, you know, there's something wrong here. Derek said every store and bank and school should have a double door system where you got through the. I know. I thought it's called the a dead room or something. There's a room. There's a name for it. And they must close before the next. Yeah, I know. And it's they were using it in I think some banks. It cost about $5,000 to put one in, which is pretty cheap, considering. And usually it said bulletproof glass, steel walls, you can't shoot through it, beat your way through it, anything else. So if you rob the store, as soon as you get inside between the double doors, they both close and lock. You know, security would probably push a button or something. Now you're trapped. You're no threat to anybody. You can shoot all day long. You probably wind up taking your own bullets because, you know, if you shoot at bulletproof glass, it's going to ricochet. So you'll solve your own problem if you shoot yourself. And as far as the school goes, if somebody comes in with an AR, an AK, or something like that, you know, metal detectors, AI would work with us. As soon as they come in, both doors close, traps them inside. Then the cops can come and say, you know, why do you got a rifle? It ain't for show and tell. It's $500 or $5,000 rather. $5,000 solves the problem, and nobody dies except possibly the criminal. And if you really want to go that far, you could have gas in there, where you could gas them to either kill them or just knock them out. You know. Personally, if he's going to do harm, then just kill him. And you solve two problems right off the bat. Every time they email you, they charge the insurance company $50. I wondered that myself, Quasi. I mean, do they make money off of that somehow? My insurance company was doing the same thing. My health insurance. I'm with Humana. And I finally got pissed off, and I said, look. I called them up. I said, you need to stop this shit. What's the problem, sir? I said, well, all my medications are on auto renew, or whatever it's called. I don't have to do anything. If there's a change in my medication, the doctor will let you know. Takes it out of my hands. But, I take, 5 medications or whatever. They're all on auto renew. When they're due, you just send them to me. They would call me. I never answered the phone because I know their number. And they leave a message. We need to talk to you. It's important. It's about your auto refill. I just ignore them, Well, auto refill comes in a couple days later. Why they're doing it? So I call them back and I said, you guys got to stop this shit. It's stupid, it's redundant, and it's stupid. Did I mention that's stupid? Well, sir, that's just the way we do things. I said, we need to change it. You're wasting resources. If you're paying somebody for this stuff, you're throwing away good money. If I'm on auto refill for it, there's no reason to contact me. If something changes my medication, the doctor will call you and let you know. That's his job. Well, sir, what if you stop taking the medication? Then I'll call you. That's my job. But you don't need to check with me every time you send out an auto refill, medicine. It's stupid. Well, sir, we can take you off the list. Good, do that. Now, they did for a year. But then, at the end of the year, they automatically renew you. So I got to call them back again and put a stop to it again. It's fucking ridiculous. Derek says, bathrooms should be single so you can go piss by yourself so some freak mixed up. She can't be with you and they can't say there's no bathroom. I agree with that too. Whatever sex they claim to be. Some place like Publix has, they call them family bathrooms, family restrooms. It's a single toilet, has a stall, a regular commode, a baby changing station, and a sink. I don't see the problem with that, Hey, PKW Model Works, Bob, how's it going? Good to see you here, man. But, there's simple solutions to all these so-called problems. But I don't think they want solutions. I think they thrive on the chaos, the murder, the mayhem. I think they want this shit because if we can come up with solutions, why can't they? They're supposed to be smarter than we are. That's debatable, of course, but Quasi says, Jim is probably on so many lists, what does it matter? That's true. I don't care. They say if you're not on a list, you're not doing it right. Chuck Quasi down there. That's true, though, I don't care. I think I told the cops once a long time ago, I said, the worst thing you could do to me is just kill me. I have no desire to die, but if it happens, oh well, Nobody wins in that. Nobody gets any satisfaction out of it. But that's the absolute worst thing you could do to me. So go fuck yourself. And they really started leaving me alone after that. I guess they figured maybe I was dangerous because I didn't care. And to a certain degree, that's true. I mean, look. I faced up. I had guns pointed at my head. I didn't break a sweat over it. Scared to death internally. But I never let them see it, I once got, I was out hitchhiking a long time. I think I was 17 years old. And my friend's dad, who used to be a state trooper, he was a real hothead. Well, his kid was always getting in trouble, and then the kid would blame me for it. Like I wasn't even there, so what the hell? Anyway, I'm out there hitchhiking. He pulls up in his little mini truck and gets out of the car, pulls out a .38 revolver, puts it to my head, and he says, "I should kill you where you stand." So I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm gonna fucking die, I'm not gonna give this bastard the satisfaction of begging for my life. He's gonna kill me anyway if he does. So I looked at him, he says, well, I looked at him and I said, well, you do what you gotta do. Fucker got all pissed off, pulled the gun back, jumped in his truck, and burned rubber gets out down the road. He didn't get the results that he wanted. He wanted me to beg for my life. As scared as I wasn't going to show him that, I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm 17, I'm going to die, Turns out the gun was a starter pistol. It fired blanks. But I didn't know that. I mean, but that's the way you have to do things, And I've been on the other side of the gun, too. I had 3 guys beat the shit out of me in my own front yard for something I didn't do. Thank God they didn't kill me, but I was pretty fucked up. But I drugged myself in the house, grabbed my .45, jumped in the car, went looking for them. And I found them. They were parked in the Circle K sucking on their Slurpees, or whatever the hell they were. So I parked behind them so they couldn't get out. I got out of the car, fucking racked one, shoved it in the driver's mouth and says, give me a reason why I don't kill you where you sit. And I go, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to. No, too late for that shit, man. You're going to die today. That motherfuckers are crying and begging for their lives. The 2 guys that was with them, they were almost part of the door, begging for their lives. I had no intention of shooting any of them. I couldn't have done it legally anyway, but I scared the shit out of them, man. And it probably taught them a valuable lesson. Don't fuck with somebody. You don't know what they might do, Never had a problem with either one of them fuckers again after that. Scared them so bad, I think it probably, woke up their common sense. Like I said, they jumped me. I didn't have nothing to do with the problem, They blame me because, I worked at the place. It's like, well, I didn't do it. So, like I said, and so, but that's what you want to see. And most people will deliver. They'll cry and beg for their lives, which is so stupid. Because theoretically, or statistically, if you pull a gun on someone and don't shoot them right off the bat, you're probably not going to. And that goes on both sides of the bush. If somebody pulls the gun on you and doesn't pull the trigger, they're probably not going to. So you use that to your advantage. And even if they are, what are you going to do about it? And if they're going to shoot you, why would you go down begging for your life? Better to look them in the eye and go ahead, motherfucker. Then you'll have to deal with my fucking ghost afterwards. Hey, sometimes it works. And they needed a new Seeker. They probably did. I don't know if they pissed themselves or shit themselves or not, but them 3 guys, they were scared, man. They really thought they were going to die, because I was pretty pissed, for one, and I ain't like I am today. I was in good shape, and, I got 2 punches in, and that was it. They said 2 of them held me down, the other one beat the shit out of me. And there wasn't much I could do about it, So, but that's the way you have to do things, But like I said, unfortunately, most people, they are so pussified that, you look at them. Hell, here where I live, if you look at somebody the wrong way, it scares them, And they back right the fuck down, man. And they don't like it if you cuss either, And that's the way I talk. The way I've talked my entire life, practically, I can't help it. It's so natural to me that it just comes out, and I really have to, if I were speaking publicly or something, I would have to really be careful that I didn't cuss. I can do it, but I don't like to. So, but like I said, people get mad. I mean, I think I was in the store or something and they didn't charge me right. And it's, what the fuck is your problem? Sir, don't cuss at me. It really offends me. Too bad. Learn your job. Hey, ready to break down and cry over it, Like, Jesus Christ, lady. I'll just be glad this wasn't 20 years ago. I'd have pulled your ass over the counter. And I had done that, too, back in the day when you were allowed to. I pulled quite a few people across the counter. Get mouthy with me. That only happened once. But, you do that now, you'll go to jail. So you can't do that shit anymore. But we really should be able to, because you know what? People were more respectful back in the day than they are today. But, it is what it is. So, but the stupidity is just killing me, man. I mean, I look at things like what? Here's another one. I read this on the news. They said that by the year 2100, 74 years from now, the seas will have risen over 9 meters, which is 21 feet, give or take. So they're saying they found out why this is happening. And it's not necessarily because of the ice melting. It's because of the excessive heat of the planet. I says, all right, well, let's think about that for a minute. So you have higher temperatures. What happens when it's hot out? Water evaporates and, goes up into the clouds. And when the clouds get full, they dump the rain. So, in theory, and maybe there's some truth to it, the hotter it gets, the more rain we should get. So the oceans wouldn't necessarily rise because it's a cycle. Jim should have grabbed the cylinder. I don't do shit like that. Just in case, why push your luck? I mean, unless you know you're going to die, then I would, You ever see that one guy, he's got like a 1911, and he goes to pull it on somebody, and the guy just does this, and it's in 3 pieces. How the hell you do that quick? I can't do it. I know how to disassemble a 1911 because I own a few of them. But how you could do that and that quick, I have no idea. So it's probably just movie bullshit. But, I don't know. So, first, I don't believe the seas are rising that much anyway. Well, they said it raised 0.8 of an inch, 0.8 of an inch every year. I don't know who's out there, measuring that. Does some guy get that special job? What's your job? Oh, I measure the ocean depths for a living, That's bullshit. They're guessing. It's like they found a meteor out there, an asteroid. They said it just came into our solar system. It weighs 800 billion tons. Who weighed it? How do you know it weighs 800 billion tons? And what is 800 billion tons anyway? Is that like a planet? I don't know. You can't even imagine 800 billion tons. But they're full of shit. You can't measure something that's at the edge of our galaxy. Okay? You just can't do it. Did somebody fly out there with a scale and fucking measure it? I don't think so. So how do they know it weighs 800 billion tons? And, there are people out there that believe that shit. Oh my God, they found an 800 billion ton asteroid that's heading right to Earth. Wrong on both accounts. Bob, the cat is sitting there right now. So your cat's on the workbench? I could not let... we have 3 cats in the house and 3 outside. There ain't no way in hell I could leave them in here. My cat, which is Callie, she's a little calico, cute little cat. Yeah, I like her. She's, I'm not a big cat person, but I think she's cool. That cat gets into everything. Knocks shit over just because it's there. If she ever got in this layout, she would destroy it inside of an hour. So needless to say, no cats in here. And Deb's always yelling at the cats anyway. They get in the craziest places, They get on top of the cabinets in the kitchen. We have these massive light fixtures in both the kitchen and the dining room. They're home custom made, they're huge. Each one holds 16 bulbs, I think. Maybe 18, I don't remember. They're massive, If it fell off the ceiling and hit you, it would kill you. So the cat's up there walking around on the things. Can't get down. So we have to help the stupid thing get down, right? But it goes up there anyway. Bob the train cat, he's being good right now. You're lucky. Bobcat, I would run. I ran into a bobcat once. I was trudging through the woods at my friend's house. We were going through the woods, and I was literally this far away from it. I put away, and there's a bobcat, pretty good sized one too, staring at me. I'm staring at him. I think we were both scared. He ran that way, and I ran this way. Thank God those things don't attack, I'd be more afraid of a bear, I think, than a bobcat. I mean, he wasn't that big, but, he was probably 30, 40 pounds, which I guess is kind of big for a cat, but I don't know. Like I said, I think he was just as scared as I was. That was way back in the day. I was a teenager at that time. So what else we got to talk about? It's 8 o'clock, a little after 8. We killed 20 minutes. I'll probably knock off at 8:30 just because. Things are going pretty good in the new shed. I've got that pretty well laid out the way I want. I still need to, I want to go through all the drawers and find things for the next giveaway, which will probably be, probably next month maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll call it a 250th U.S. birthday giveaway. How's that sound, right? I know I got stuff in there I want to get rid of. I just don't know what. And right now I've got 2 racks. I'm not going to do them just yet. These are the old paint racks. They hold the apple barrel paints. They're perfect size for them. I custom made them. This one holds 7. This one holds 7 too. They both hold 7. So these will be part of a giveaway. You could paint them up, put your paints in there. Pretty cool. Actually, I did, Rush. I know I did a video on it. Show us all your engines and we will pick. Hey, that ain't happening. I can't afford to replace them. Yeah, I want to go through the layout at some point. I want to renovate a lot of it, like update it. The one thing, this is where I really like Crooked Dave's layout. He takes a lot more time to do things than I do. And it's like his bridge scene. That is just amazing, That looks so damn real, it isn't funny. And I've got a number of bridges on there. They're actually cardboard bridges or balsa wood. But all right, that's cool, Russ. Yeah, it's in there. Russ blocking the workbench is not being good. Could be. So, I mean, I would like to take those bridges, take them back down, repaint them, weather them, make them look more realistic. And at some point I will, The same thing with some of the, I've got some buildings on the layout and up to, I just want to get them lit up. Some of them aren't, some of them are. So, at some point I'd like to, make everything look a lot better. And I'm trying to get my wife to get her out here, and she wants to work on her Debbie's Glass and Jar Company. So I'm going to make an area for her to build it up the way she wants, and hopefully she'll take the time and, do everything 100% on that too. Because, that's the whole thing. Like I said, I look at guys like Crooked Dave and I go, he really takes his time to make stuff look good. And that's part of the layout, It's not just a matter of having a bunch of trains running around. I mean, there's other stuff too. So, Bob is a cool dude and a sweet boy, Bob. Nor could you if you wished for us, bad kitty. That's terrible. So that's what I want to do ultimately, but I've got to get everything operational first. And like I said, I've got to build the tip out outside for the helix, get a helix built, and connect the upper level to the bottom level. Once that's done, then I could probably really start looking at, updating things and making it look good. Jim, your AC seems to work well with the addition of the shed. Yes, it is. It does. It takes a little longer to get in there, but the air conditioner is right here, so it tends to blow in there too. And it cools the whole. I've got it set at 72, and it's probably 74 in here right now. I mean, whatever you set it, it's never actually accurate. But do you have an operating scheme, Jim, even just in concept? Not really. It's just kind of a go as I go thing. Like I said, I built the yard up on the second level. So I want to do, yard operations at some point. He said I want to have to buy some switchers, and I have one already, but that's all right, Bob. Any question's a good one, man. So that's the big thing. On the bottom, it goes, basically it's round and round she goes. I didn't really build the bottom part of the layout to do operations on. You probably could in a limited sense, but it would be very limited. Now I have a siding over here on this side, which is fairly long, but that's the only siding I have on the whole layout. I've got two main lines. They're both for freights. I have the overhead passenger rail system, which is on itself, it's a back and forth deal. No loop. I'm putting in, at some point, the sugar short line. And this right here is the cane sugar factory, or plant. And the other end is, well, I don't know what's on the other end, but like I've got a staging area which is similar to what's right down the road from me. We're storing empties and stuff. So that one's going to be basically a back and forth as well too. That's hence the need for a second motor man. So Like he said, it's mostly going to be on the second level where I'm going to be doing any kind of operations. There's a big yard up there. It's huge. It's looks like about 15, 18 foot long. Right now, I believe there's six branches on, or six sidings, I guess you call them. Parking stall. I'm not sure what you call them. I've got room for two more. I will be putting two more in. So, yeah, drumming up ideas. There you go. So, there's a lot to look at. And I'm not going to do a third level either. I mean, I was kicking around. Some of you guys were suggesting it. Problem is, I'm a short guy. I'm only 5'6". If I wanted to do a third level, I'd have to walk around on a ladder. Or stilts. So the second level is as high as I could go, really. If I were 6'1" or something like that, I would probably do a third level, but it's not going to happen. So I've got two levels to work with, and there's still a lot of room up on the second level to put more industry up there and more things. Like I said, I got to sit down and I've got an intermodal yard down at the far end. I've got the staging yard over here on the right side. Over here, closest to me on the right side, is a locomotive repair facility, a turntable, which I don't have operational yet. And then on the left side, I've got oil derricks, which I've got to get. They're motorized. I just got to get power to them. I've got a scrap yard over here on the very end. I've got some I guess you call them plants, I guess. Further down. So there's really that back corner on the left side, that's still open. I don't know what I'm going to put in there yet, but I've got room for it. So, once again, of course, and the helix will go on the left side too, so the helix will go from the top to the bottom level. It's only going to be about 3 foot tall. So I'm thinking maybe 4 levels. And it'll actually be outside the shed, but under cover. So I'm going to build a tip out there that I can access all 3 sides to through, locked doors. And in case I have to get in there for something, or maintenance or whatever. But basically it'd be a weatherproof tip out to hide the helix, because there's no place to put a helix inside here without taking up valuable real estate. Ray is a goofball, Bob. Stop, Derek, you're worse than Rainbow Bell. Puns are fun, almost as good as dad jokes. That's true. Thanks for the tour, Jim. You've got a lot going on there. I do, actually. I've got more to do than I probably have, realistically, the time and money to do it. But you never finish a layout anyway. Technically, even when it's done, it's not done. You'll make changes, you'll add on, take things out, whatever. So I'm not that concerned with it. If it takes me another 5 years to get this thing to something like an almost done, that's fine. I'm not in a hurry. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't have the monetary resources to do what I'd like to do right off the bat, but that could be a good thing in some ways. It takes time to get certain things done, and that's fine. Like I said, I work on a little area. Like, I just cleaned up the new lake, Doodle Lake, which is, see, that's on the camera. You can actually see it. That's on the lower right of the camera. I've got the naked women playing in the water and sunning themselves. I've got Heath is out there with a camera, photographing them. Then I had to clean the lake. Was filthy, dust and dirt and everything else. Cleaned it all out. Cleaned off the ladies. Moved the sign so you could see it in the camera now. You know, moved a few bushes around. So that's like the start of what I wanted to do. And I'll slowly work my way down until I get everything. I've got a cattle ranch almost down on the end. And I've got to glue the cow down because they keep falling over. Maybe I have a cow tipper out there. Who knows? As long as it's giving... That's true. It does. I enjoy being out here. Probably more than my wife does because, you know, she kind of yells at me. You're always out in the damn shed. Well, you know, what else do I got to do? I said, you can come out there and join me. You know, you can work on things too. You know, but she's always doing something in the house and she just doesn't have time. But I said, you know, you need to prioritize some things in your life. And yes, having fun is the key. You know, I enjoy what I do because what the hell else is there? You know, I don't enjoy going out anymore. I haven't been to a bar in so long I forgot what they're like. Yeah, I got tired of the bar scenes, man. It's like, it was just getting to the point where, you know, you couldn't go into a bar without fights breaking out. I didn't come here to fight. I came here to have a drink, for Christ's sake, you know. You want to have a fight, go somewhere else. Bob Jim's got some pretty good videos on the layout from the beginning of the shed. Getting delivered to the addition now, like 5 or 6. Yeah, it's been 6 years now. Yeah, I did videotape everything when they brought it in. Well, I was so happy. Seemed like I waited forever for it, you know, because some of you guys have been with me for a while know that it was not an easy deal because originally I was supposed to have a 20 by 40 metal building. And I had a pad built for it, wood pad, because it would have cost a fortune and I would need permits and shit for concrete. I didn't want to go that route. So anything that's not considered, anything not concrete, not considered permanent, therefore you don't need a permit. So I got the thing built and I called the guy and said, well, it's ready, you know, you come down here and build the building. They go, well, we sent a guy out there, look, you can't put that on wood. Well, you told me you could to begin with. Yeah, we changed our mind. So you're not going to build it? Nope. All right, go fuck yourself then. I'll be in a couple of days to get my down payment back. And I did. I got my, because I put down $2,000. And I got my money back. And, you know, it was like a third party deal because the guy I was dealing with, the shed company. And I went to him, I said, they tell me they won't build the damn thing. Why not? He said they can't build it on a wood pad. It's anchored and all. I don't understand the problem, you know. There's no liability for them. I mean, they just after they build it, it's my problem, you know. So he said, well, let me call him. He called him up and he said, yeah, I don't know what the hell happened, but they refused to build it for you. It's fine. Give me my money back and, you know, what else can we do? He says, well, I said, what's the biggest shed you got here? It's, you know, already manufactured. He says, 12 by 32. I said, I'll take it. So you want to know what I don't care what it costs. It was $8,200. I said, I'll take it. How soon can you get it to me? So it'll take 3 months. I said, that's fine. So, it actually didn't quite take 3 months. I think it was like 7 weeks. Here they come. They bring it in. Well, I was so happy with, because, you know, I was really getting pissed off thinking, how am I supposed to have a train layout without a building, you know? And I couldn't, I mean, there's no way I could build one myself. I mean, I could have built a shed, I guess. Well, I don't think I could have, but, you know, I could have done the walls, but I would have to find somebody to do the roof. And who knows what that would cost. And it's funny, because like I said, I paid $8,200 for this building, and it was bare, no interior walls, nothing, you know, just a floor, and basically a shell. I insulated it, I put inside walls in, I put down the linoleum tile, built the ceiling, you know. The same building today is almost $12,000. Holy shit, I'm glad I bought it when I did. Let's see. I have not known you that long, Jim, so I will have to go back and watch your older videos. Okay, no problem. Well, like I said, I'm just a hobbyist. The only thing I have really that I can brag about is, I've done electrical, I've done plumbing, I've done construction, I've done finished carpentry. I've done just about everything at one point in my life, or several points. So, I had the knowledge. I did all this stuff myself, Wired the electric, did the plumbing for the sink. I wish there was room for a damn toilet in here, to be honest with you, but there's no place to put one. And, I almost wish I went with a bigger shed out there, because the 6x8's fine. 8x10 would have been a lot better. It's tight in there, Yeah, I mean, it's fine. But like I said, I had to work within my financial ability, And it would have cost me probably another $1,000 to go 8x10. Because I had to build the floor, or deck actually. Buy the shed, assemble the shed. I'm never doing that again. I've built a lot of sheds in my life, but this one was tough because, I'm not physically fit anymore. Now we're done with that shit. I mean, if it wasn't for the wife, this would have never got built probably. Because she did a lot of the work for me, I'd show her what to do, I'd help her. But she can get down on her knees, I can't. She can get up on a ladder, I really can't. So, So she was a big help in getting that done. There are advantages and disadvantages of separate hobby space. That's true. Had another edition later. That ain't happening, Russ. Not happening at all, man. One's enough. I don't know where I'd put it anyway. I have to rework a lot of stuff and I'm not doing it. So, I wish because see, when I sold my house in Naples, I sold it for $298,900. Anyway, it's almost $300,000. I bought this place for $172,000. I wound up with $107,000 left over, which I put $66,000 in the house because, the idiot prior tenants, they destroyed the place because they weren't happy that I bought the place, So they did damage. I got some discounts on the price, so I got down to $172 because originally they wanted $200 for it, and I would have gave them $200. Except, like I said, every time I came here to look at the place, there was more shit broken and destroyed. I said, I got all the owners. I said, look, you got to get these people the hell out of this house. Why? Because I'm buying it. Well, you're not the first one that said they're going to buy it. So I'm paying cash. Okay? This has got nothing to do with the banks. This is me and the realtor. I got cash money to buy this place. You gotta get the price down. So they did. But, like I said, they did a lot of damage, man. I put $10,000 just in the guest house because they literally destroyed it. They took a ball peen hammer to the fiberglass shower stall. I had to replace the whole stall. That was like $600. I had to redo some plumbing. There's there's 4 toilets in the house. 3 in the main house, 1 in the guest house. None of them worked. All the guts were gone. So I went out and bought new toilets, 4 of them. Put them in. All the sinks, they put bottle caps down in the drain so that the drains were clogged. So I had to fish out the bottle caps. There was a $3,000 French door refrigerator in the kitchen. Beautiful fucking, it was an LG. It worked great till the day I moved in. They had poked holes in the evaporator coil. So it laid down that night and I had to go buy a new one. They're lucky they weren't still. I would have probably shot them. I mean, I had to kick him. I had to basically drag him out of the house at gunpoint anyway. Because when we got here, like I said, the deed was already in my name. I had the U-Haul and, the wife and the dogs and everything else. And why are you still here? We're not ready to go. I said, well, you got 30 seconds. I got the 45 in the car. I come back in here. I will start using it. I guess they thought I was kidding, so I came back in, racked one of the eyes. Who wants to be the first? Psh, out the door they went. Don't come back here. I will kill you. You'll be trespassing. This is your first and only notice you're getting. Like, get the fuck off my property. No, they didn't get arrested because, nobody's going to do anything. There were 7 people living here. They were squatters, basically. Even though the owner of the house, her and her husband were in an assisted living home. And they put the house in their son's name so that they wouldn't lose it, because if you're in a nursing home or whatever, the state takes your house. So that's why my dad gave me his house, because he went into a nursing home. And he quit claimed it to me because he said, they ain't getting my house. I said, all right, no problem. But anyway, so the son knew these people were living there. They never paid rent, and he was kind of an idiot too. And I said, his name was John. I said, John, what the fuck, man? Get these assholes out of my house. Well, it ain't yours yet, but I said, but it will be. Well, how do you know? Because I'm paying cash. It's a done deal. So, like I said, he was gone by the time, when they put the deed in my name, he'd already pulled out. And these 7 idiots were still in. You guys got to go right fucking now. I don't care what your excuses are. This is my house. You're trespassing. I will shoot you. So they did. They got the hell out of Dodge pretty quick. Said the advantage and disadvantage of a separate lobby space where you showed the cost and necessary work for each. Oh, that's what I'm saying. You do need it, Oh, Derek, I just did the disadvantages. Well, there really weren't. In my case, there were no disadvantages to adding that shed on there. Like I said, what I should have done, I was getting to the point, I had all this money, right? And I kind of pissed away some of it, but I should have bought 2 of these sheds. It would have been $16,000, which I had more than enough to cover out of $107,000. I should have bought 2 of them, side by side, problem solved. But I didn't do that. And because I was kind of being, miserly with the money. I wanted it to last, But I had 2 problems. I couldn't really hang on to it because, I'm on disability. So I really had to spend it. And like I said, most of it went back into the house anyway. So right off the bat, that was a tax deduction. No problem there. And then, of course, I put some of it into the shed, my hobby. I bought a riding mower. I bought a truck, a used truck. I mean, I really did. I lowballed everything. I was looking at a Ford F-150 a few times in Arcadia. They wanted, it was $1,700 for it. And it was I think it was an 02 or something like that. Wasn't it was in decent shape, but had a lot of miles on it, which I didn't care. I just wanted something to haul stuff with. So we jumped in the car, we went over there and took a look at it. I took it for a test drive. I think I could see it needed new U-joints because it was slop, When you feathered the gas, you'd hear them underneath there, clacking. Well, other than that, the air worked great. Everything worked in it. It was a big truck. I mean, I had no problem getting in of it, which was cool because, I couldn't have any. It wasn't a four-wheel drive, obviously, because I couldn't get in one. But I said, all right, I'll take it. So, I got $2,000 in my pocket. She says, how are you going to pay for this? I'm going to pay cash for it. She says, all right. She goes, well, let me get the contract. I said, all right, whatever. Comes out and hands me the contract. Well, it's fucking $8,000. This ain't the right price. What do you mean? I says, the ad in the paper said you wanted $1,500, $1,700 or $1,800 for it. I don't remember which. She goes, yeah, but there's other fees. I said, no, there's no other fees. Other than, sales tax and the tag, which doesn't amount to that too much. I said, you're trying to bend me over. I said, ain't happening. I said, what kind of, bullshit is this? And I thought I had stories about my shop, but Jim has stories. I do. So anyway, she insisted, and I said, well, we can come down a little bit. I said, you bring it down to 1,800, I'll buy it. She said, well, I can't bring it down that far. We may be able to knock a couple hundred off it. I said, he went $8,000 for a piece of shit truck with over 200,000 miles on it and bad U-joints? Are you stupid? And she got like, whoa, you don't have to get all upset. Yeah, I do, because I drove from Sebring like 50 miles to buy this truck at $1,800, which is what you advertised, on the internet. Well, that's not the exact price. Well, obviously. I said, you take your $8,000 truck and go run yourself over with it. I don't want it. You're not going to buy it then? Fuck no. I mean, I had the money. That wasn't the point, but I wasn't going to spend that much money on it. So I wound up going to Naples, where I originally came from, and bought the Ford Ranger. I paid $1,300 for that. The guy wanted $15,000. Like I said, had a lot of miles on it. Had some minor issues with it. I said, would you take a little less? He said, well, how much you are? I said, take $13,000. Yeah, I'll take it. Give him the cash money. Drove it back up here, and I've had it ever since. I mean, like I said, I don't like liars, man. And I don't know what the hell, and I guess they pull this shit all the time, but, ain't nobody in the right mind gonna give you $8,000 for that truck. It ain't worth $8,000. I think it had something like 280,000 miles on it. I mean, it seemed to drive all right, aside from the bad U-joints, which ain't no big deal. I could change them easy, but still, for that money, the thing should have looked like new, and the interior was a little worn out in it. Everything worked as near as I could tell, but there was just no way I was going to give $8,000 for that. As Bob says, huge hobby space can be too much to complete. I'm exercising restraint. Well, and to be honest with you, I'm glad that I didn't go with the 20 by 30. 20 by 40, whatever it was. It was big. It would have cost me twice as much to build the layout. And I had sunk quite a bit of money in this anyway, So I think it might not have been a good thing, really, to have all that room. I mean, it would have, but it wouldn't have, And, the problem with, and I don't care, anybody, and you all got to admit this, I don't care what size room you got or area you've got to build the layout, you're going to utilize more of it than you got. Like doing multiple, layers, levels. I mean, I would have probably been fine with a single level, and I thought, well, wait a minute. Why don't I put a second level in? I talked myself into it, But I really needed it because the reality was I'd run into a brick wall on space. But you're right. The more space you have, the more you will utilize, and the more it will cost. Which is great if you're working and have a good income for it, but when you're on disability, well, hey, I went from $7,000 a month profit when I was working to $1,500 on disability. Big difference. Rest says, I would have come unglued, Jim. I don't blame you. I was pissed, man. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you? I mean, you dragged me out of here 50 miles and then give me a different price than what I thought it, And it even said on the truck, $1,800. Didn't say 1,800 down. It said 1,800. You know. I said, well, is that because at first I said, is that the down payment? No, that's what we want for it. But there's other fees, and I'm going. How do you get over $6,000 worth of fees? There's something wrong with that, I says, I know some dealerships charge an extra $100 for their bullshit fee. And then there's sales tax, obviously, which wouldn't be more than the truck. And, the tags. The tags, $60 a year or whatever. Where's the rest of the money going? She wouldn't tell me. I said, you guys are a clown outfit. You should be shut down. And I got half a mind to report you to whoever oversees these businesses. Well, you do what you got to do, sir. Don't worry, I will. I never did. But I should have. How the hell does someone go from 1,800 to 8,200 with fees? I don't know, Rob. That's why I was trying to find out, Like I said, they usually have, like, when I bought my Buick, my Riata, I bought it off a lot. It was $10,000, which I got the price down because it was originally, I think they wanted $14,000. And I said, no. I said, $10,000 is closer to a realistic price for this car. So they accepted it. They charged me a $100 dealer fee, whatever the hell that was. There's sales tax on the $10,000, and the tags and the title. I think altogether I wound up paying like almost $11,000 for the car, not including interest on the loan because I took a 3-year loan on it. But no, I'm not Florida born. I'm from New Jersey, man. I'm a Yankee. But I've been here for a long time. My parents moved down in 1969. I was 10 years old at the time, so you might as well say I spent most of my life down here. It's not bad. I like Florida. Not real thrilled with hurricanes, but short of that, though, it's, the one thing about Florida, at least at the time, there was always work here. When I was married to my ex-wife, my first wife, we left. It just didn't feel right to bring up a family down here. We had the 2 girls at the time. And so we moved up to Virginia. There was no work up there. I held out for like 8 months. I ran out of money. So we can't stay here anymore. I was selling vacuum cleaners. Trying to. Electrolux. There was no work. I applied to every job that they ever come up. They were looking for a tire jockey at a tire store. And I said, well, hell, I could do that. I'm a mechanic, So I stood in line for like 2 hours. The line was long. Finally got my turn. He says, well, how much experience do you have? I said, well, as a mechanic, I've got about, 10 years experience. I said, I've changed tires, no big deal, He said, but have you ever worked at a tire store? I said, no. But I know how to change tires, so, it's not a big thing. So we're kind of looking for somebody with at least, 10, 15 years experience. What does this job pay? Minimum wage. Now, you want somebody with 15 years experience to work for $7 an hour? Are you fucking stupid? Well, if you don't like it, I said, I don't, but I'll still take the job. I don't care. I need to feed my family. He said, well, we need somebody with more experience. I said, well, good luck with that. And I got up and walked out, Everywhere I went, it was the same thing. They wanted, like, somebody was worth $20 or $30 an hour to work for $7. Which I didn't care because, I could have lived well on $7 an hour because everything was cheap up there. We rented a mobile home on a mountaintop, and, I think I was paying $350 a month for that, something like that. It wasn't much. Like I said, well, when the money ran out, we were down to rationing potatoes, man. you know, because I wouldn't go on food stamps because that was just like not a thing. So, this is Bob. I've lived in Florida several times. Liked it. Always Tampa area. Yeah, some people like the big cities. I don't. That's why I left Naples, because Naples was getting to be too much like a big city. When we first moved there in '69, there was nothing there. A lot of woods, great for kids. I used to go tromp through the woods every day. When I wasn't in school, and it was a great place to live. But then it got built up, overcrowded. You go down there now, it takes you an hour to get across town. It used to take you 10 minutes. They've just overbuilt the place. Everything's through the roof. My house I sold for, like I said, $298, $299 really. The guy that bought it renovated it, flipped it for $600,000. The guy that bought off of him furnished it and sold it for $1.1 million. Nobody's lived in the damn house since I sold it. It's still empty. It's up for sale again, but it's only worth about maybe $650,000. So the guy's pissed off because he's got 1.1 tied up in it. Well, can't fix stupid. No, but that's why I left. John said, we had a bad storm and lost electricity. If power comes back on, I'll check back. Have a nice... Oh, all right, John. Well, hey, be safe, man. Hope you get your power back on. Thanks for coming in. So, I've left Florida several times. I moved up to Indiana for a while to be with my sister, help her out financially. But I always wound up coming back here because the work was always here. I could make money here. I couldn't make money anywhere else. I work in a box plant up in Indiana making minimum wage. And I probably would have been okay, but they had a bulldog running it. She didn't like me. I was like one of two men worked in the place. The rest were all women. So she would, and I was on the first of the line. If I screwed up, everybody screwed up. I had to cut the boxes and crease for the the lids and stuff. And I was good at what I did. I mean, it wasn't a hard job. But she come in one day and says, the cuts aren't as clean as I'd like them to be. I said, well, I requested new blades for the cutting machine. Well, you ain't getting them. I said, well, then you're going to get what you get. I said, you got dull blades, you're going to get a not that great of a cut. Can't do anything about it, So she got mouthy with me. She says, I'll take you outside. I says, really? Let's go. What do you mean? I says, you think you can beat my ass? Bitch, I will fuck you up. I said, I will end your fucking career, man, doing anything. You'll be in a wheelchair. Let's go. So she wouldn't go out there. I guess she thought I'd be afraid of her, I wasn't afraid of no bulldog. She didn't fire me because I said, you fire me, I'll go to your superiors. I'll have you fired, for discrimination. I said, get me them damn new blades. You'll get the kind of quality that we both want. Never got the blades. I wound up quitting because I got tired of her shit, She, the girls could do no wrong with the men. She was up our asses all the time. Yeah, I ain't playing that game. She pissed me off so much one night, I grabbed her by the arm, started pulling her outside. She said, what are you doing? I'm taking you outside where you wanted to go in the first place. I said, you want to fuck with a man? I'll show you what it's like to fuck with a man. Because as far as I'm concerned, you ain't no lady. I could beat your ass. It scared her so bad. She broke loose of me and she locked herself in the bathroom. And he says, I yelled to the door. I said, I'm quitting. Fuck you. Fuck your dyke ass. I'm done with this place. And I did. I quit, Jim, is that big hobby shop in Pinellas still there? I'm not sure. It could be. I haven't been to it. I I know there's one in Pinellas County. I can't remember the name of it now. I went there when we went to the train show there. It wasn't real big though, but it was a nice place. My small town is starting to become gentrified and data centers being built. Yeah, them data centers are nasty, man. Thank God that I don't think they'll build one in this area because I think everybody would have a cow if they tried. Plus, our governor made it so tough to put them in. We're on water shortages most of the time. We're rationing, you know. Right now we're in a drought, technically. So, you know, you're not allowed to waste water on your grass or anything. So why in the hell would they let a data center come in here? You know. Or us find a good water source. Well, I have a well on the property. I got to get it working again. The pump's probably fine, but everything on the house side, you know, the breaker box, the timer, I think the relay switch, they're all frozen. They're fried, you know. So I want to take the pump out. It's a 220 and I want to put a 110 in. It's one of the deep well pumps, which I believe is like 250 foot down, according to the guy who built the house. That's what he thinks it was, because he drilled the well for it back in '94. So I want to put a 110 volt in there and run it off solar. So that if we lose power or something, or lose water, which hasn't happened yet, but it could, I'd have, because it's supposedly drinkable. And I filter all my water anyway, so that's the plan, you know. 110 volt, you know, single battery, an inverter, and one solar cell will power a pump. So that's my plan ultimately, to get that done at some point. Hurricane risk means no data center. You would think, but I'm not so sure about that. I know they're trying to build one in Hendry County, which I think is north of us, maybe. I'm not sure. But Hendry County doesn't want it. Well, the town council wants it because, you know, they'll line their pockets. But the townspeople don't want it. So we're kind of watching to see what happens. But even if the town council approves it, they still have to go through the Florida EPA or something to that effect. So I don't think they'll permit it because, you know, these data centers, they take ridiculous amounts of water and electricity. And our governor already said if they do build one here, we're going to make them pay for their electric. You won't be paying for it. I said, well, that's only right, you know. If I use a lot of electricity, nobody's going to pay my bill. That's on me. So how come these guys want to charge me to power their facilities? So fortunately, our governor said, no, that ain't going to happen. So, yes, DeSantis is a great governor, and we have a irresponsible lesbian running my state. Where are you at? Well, you're in is it Oregon or Washington State? I can't remember which, but Democrats, you know, we're still Republicans here. They want to bring in a rhino, but I'm hoping he doesn't get a foothold in there, because the guy I'm voting for is the lieutenant governor now, and they're trying to do away with property tax for homesteaded homeowners here. And DeSantis has got a great plan. It's going on the ballot in November. If we can get 60% of the populace to say no more taxes, it's a done deal, and it goes in the state constitution. No more property tax. So, and the lieutenant governor is also behind our governor. So that's why I want to vote for him. I won't vote for the other guy that wants to shoot the teen takeovers. I agree with that, but I don't know where his stance is on the property taxes. I don't really care about teen takeovers as much as I care about property taxes. You know, if a teen takeover happens in my property, I'll break out my AK. I ain't worried about it. And legally I can do it. But, you know, as far as the governor doing it, well, that's on him, but I'm more interested in the property taxes right now. Data centers don't bring jobs, tax revenue for the town. That's true. Derek says the only jobs created are to build it. After that, it's monitored by one guy and it sucks up water and power, and the water releases back. Well, that's true. That's what I'm saying. And I don't understand that. Like, and I talked about it earlier. You know, they're worried about cow farts and you driving your car to the corner store because it's causing climate change. But a data center which releases megatons of heat and pollutants is okay. Somebody's full of shit here. I'm pretty sure it's the climate activist, but you know. I live in Oregon. Bobby Ferguson is destroying Washington State. Well, that's true too. Oh, they're all Democrat strongholds. And, you know, I know it's hard to leave some of these places because, you know, you don't have the money, but if you could ever get out of there, you need to. Because, you know, like I said, they're talking about doing some crazy shit. You know, and they're basically trying to convert to socialism, which will ultimately become communism, which means you'll probably wind up facing the firing squad at some point anyway. You know. I don't, you know, like you said, I look at this stuff and I go, why isn't the federal government doing something about this? You know. Said you got Mamdani in New York. He's a Democrat socialist. He's talking about seizing people's property, you know, like apartment complexes and stuff. He doesn't have the authority to do that. And why isn't the government sending in the marshals and arresting him and charging him with treason? You know, they're not doing anything, so I don't know. But I think a lot of it could be Trump too, because, you know, Trump's one of them guys where, you know, let them hang, give them enough rope to hang themselves. And boy, they're doing a hell of a job of trying to hang themselves in New York, you know. And Washington and Oregon are just as bad. So is Virginia, you know. New Jersey's not doing much better. And they're all Democrat strongholds, man. And they're cheating. Look what's going on in California. You can't tell me they're not rigging that vote. You know, the elections were held, last Tuesday? They're still counting? And they got till, I think they said July 6th or something like that, to finish counting. And all the new votes coming in are strictly Democratic votes. No Republican votes. But they're not cheating. Of course not. Sure they aren't. Well, I know it's obvious, Russ, but, you know. And Trump knows it. You know, he's even said on TV, look, they're cheating, they're liars, they're cheaters, and they're stealing the election. Now, last I heard, the Supreme Court is supposed to do something. I don't know what exactly, but there was talk on today's news that they were going to intervene on the election. They should rule the election as, you know, not valid, and do another election where you turn in your new votes on election day, and that's the only votes you get to count. You know. This is bullshit, you know. And there's a meme running around, you know. I can't remember the guy's name now, the Republican runner. He says, you know, oh, Pratt. Pratt's winning, bring in the emergency votes. And that's what they're doing, you know. And they got dead people voting. They got people voting multiple times. You know, come on. What's that? Russ, Trump signed a proclamation today eliminating the restrictions on fishing by you that Obama put on so American fishermen now have access to 150,000 square miles. That's good. Well, Obama did, and I think so did Biden. You know. And so I'm saying they're trying to, you know, everything that you enjoy, or even out of necessity like eating, they're trying to stop. This shit's got to stop, man. It's crazy. All right, Ken. Well, listen, thanks for popping in, man. You might want to watch the replay. We actually talk about trains. But, you know, after a while, we get in everything else. Anyway, have a good weekend, man, and don't work too hard. Before that, we couldn't, but China, Japan, except for we're fishing there and then selling. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Oregon leadership wants to ban all hunting. I read that too, Russ. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I think at some point they're going to cross that imaginary red line or line in the sand, and all hell's going to break loose, and it needs to. So, you know, I don't know. It's all craziness when you get down to it. Anyway, guys, the time's flying over here. It's already after 9. I'm going to wrap this up because, you know, I don't want to get too political here. We'll see you next week. I should have some more stuff to show. Maybe a clean layout. I got so much I got to get done here. Get these cameras straightened out and everything else, but I'll get it done. Hopefully salmon prices will drop substantially. That'd be nice. You know, I've eaten salmon before, but I don't really like it. I mean, it's got an unusual taste to it. Of course, I don't know if I'm eating the farm-raised stuff or the wild. The wild salmon is probably better, but I think a lot of the stuff you buy is farmed. And they say you shouldn't eat the farm stuff. Our current governor won't listen to the voters. Well, Rush, you got to vote the asshole out or recall him. I mean, unfortunately, there's probably too many Democrats in your state, but, you know, got to get these people the hell out of power. I mean, I'd like to tell you what needs to be done, but I can't, but you get the idea. Thanks for the show, Jim. Got to do some 3D design work. I finally subbed. Good night. All right. If you watch the replay, I don't know what you use for a printer, but those of us who use the Bamboo A1 and A1 Mini, we have a maintenance kit for them. I built a rack to hold the maintenance tools, the grease, the oil, brushes. You might want to check it out if you're interested in it. I will give you the STL file for it. I designed it, but anybody who wants it, I'll give it away for free. Just drop me an email and I'll send it out to you. So check it out. Russ says, I love salmon. Quality says, once you get past the smell, you got it licked. The smelling, but it's like a weird taste. I don't know. It's just, and it could be the way it's being made, too. You know, certain fish, if you make it a certain way, it makes it more palatable. I don't know. I know you want it, Tom. I'll send that to you. Matter of fact, after the show, I'll send it out to you. Like I said, it's set up for the maintenance stuff that I'm pretty sure you've got, because I followed your instructions on the maintenance, and it's all set up for the brushes and the oil and the grease, so check it out. Great show, Big Jim. We covered a lot of topics tonight. Do you have a voltage meter you can check that power supply with to make sure that it's the problem before you buy another one? Yeah, I've got my good meter, and I checked it out, and it's not putting out what it claims, which doesn't surprise me. We are working out a gym. Dems have a super majority right now. They cheat in our mail, and I know they do. Well, hopefully Trump will get that SAVE Act through, and that's going to put a stop to that mail-in bullshit, you know, and voter ID and everything else. I don't understand. They want ID to buy a pack of cigarettes. Or to book a flight on a plane, but not to vote. Go figure. You might be buying the farm ones, even just baked salmon has a nice taste. I'm pretty, well, Walmart we were getting it from, and I'm pretty sure that's farmed. You know, and they say the farmed ones you shouldn't eat anyway. Wait, we haven't talked about women yet. No tits tonight, sorry. Maybe next week. Alright guys, I'm going to run the outro now, so everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for popping in and hanging out with me. I appreciate it, and hell, we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Play with your trades. We'll see you later.